Home, Albert Almora with the go-ahead run. Cubs go on to win the World Series 8-7. Let's get you back out to Grant Park. Cap and Holly joined by another celebrity guest. Guys?
All right, thank you, Mark. That's right, Cap and Holly here with CM Punk and John Cusack on the set with us now. You're around this run a lot. What was your take on what you saw in Cleveland?
Well, it was like a whole season in a game, and in a way, it was like a whole 100 years in a game. You had guys, who made some errors, then came back and redeemed them. It was just I don't know. By the end, when the rain started, I thought it was this is like become like Moby Dick or something. It's become some great novel. I think it was, for me, the '85 Bears, and of course maybe Michael's first championship, but this transcended a baseball game. Right. This was one of the great sporting events. I mean, I think it was like Rumble in the Jungle. It was a top 5 sporting events. Right. Of all time. Now, I don't know if that's just because I'm such a fan.
No, it was an emotional roller coaster for all of us.
Yeah,
I get it,
yeah.
But I mean, was it? Did you think it was going to be any easier than that? I mean, 108 years of losing leads you to this moment. You had to believe that there was probably going to be some difficulties, right?
Oh, of course, but I don't think anybody suspected that it would be that dramatic. I thought it was going to be dramatic one way or the other, but it was beautiful.
CM, you grew up here. Yep. Was this the biggest thing you've seen? For me, it is.
It still hasn't sunk in. I kind of was fortunate to be able to go to Cleveland. I wasn't sure if I was going to go though. I didn't go to games 1 and 2 because I was crossing my fingers that the Cubs were going to be able to do it, at home, and I had no predestined plans to go. And then I was at Game 5. I bought these socks. I put them on in my seat, and they won Game 5, and then I was
never
like, okay,
wash those socks again.
I can't.
Ever.
I can't. They haven't been washed yet.
After they won Game 6 in Cleveland, I was like, well, I got to wear the same shirt, so I was wearing the exact same outfit. I mean, we were totally out of our minds there. Everybody in Cleveland.
Okay, so I run into Bill Murray at the team hotel. And he said, I got to check out of this place. He said, they doubled my rate, $1,600 for a room at the Westin. He's like, it's ridiculous.
I think Bill can cover that.
Yeah, and I said, you can't afford that? And he said, that's not the point. $800 to $1,600 in one night. And then he looked at his room key, and he goes, look what room I'm staying in, 2016. He's like, okay, that's too bizarre. I'll pay the $1,600. It was pretty funny stuff.
You talked about your journey, from as a child getting on the train going to Cubs games. I mean,
you lived in Evanston.
Yeah, I would go to Evanston, get on the Howard train, switch to the B, get off at Irving Park, and I could go to the Cubs games with maybe $3-4 in my pocket, 50 cents there, $1.50 for the bleachers, hot dog and a Coke, and then I'd hop the train on the way back. Duck walk under the turnstiles with all the mobs. So I did that 40 times a year, and we were either playing sandlot baseball or going to the Cubs game if we had mowed enough lawns to have the money, right?
You get to the Game 7 moment where it happens for you. I mean, does it all kind of just flood back? I mean, I think that I'm getting this vibe from so many of you who were born here in Chicago, raised here in Chicago, that, Game 7 takes you back to your childhood. It takes you back to ducking under the turnstiles, to
Absolutely.
Getting on the train and
Absolutely.
watching this team, hoping this team will eventually win.
And not only that, every time you step into the Cathedral, Wrigley Field, every time you walk into that park, every moment you remember is about the promise of what happened on Game 7.
Right.
When I went there with my father, he started taking me there at 4 years old. Anytime we'd go there, you walk in there and you think, you know what? One day we're going to be the world champions, and they're going to get over that hump. And now we had it not only in the pennant, where I got to hear someone say, the Cubs win the pennant, the Cubs are going to the World Series. We get a road win, a home win, and then they finally do it. And all that energy in Game 7, every time you walk into that park, that's in your mind.
Right.
And it was in your father's minds. And it was in all your friends' minds. And every time we see, there's this amazing tradition in Chicago that you get to interact with the players, and you might see them out at a bar at Stanley's or wherever else, and everybody's like giving each other bear hugs because they know one day the Cubs are going to do it, and it was the holy grail of sports, as everyone knows.
There's no more macho guy around here than you.
I'm not macho.
Okay.
This guy maybe, I don't know.
Ultimate fighter, he was a pro wrestler, big tough guy, and yet I asked you earlier, did you cry? Because I know I did, and then Sarah Lauke at Comcast Sports that put together this amazing Eddie Vedder video and put all the highlights of the season. And I'm looking at it, and I'm just like melting. It's unbelievable, all the memories that come flooding back to you.
Yeah. The sights, the sounds, the smells, like everything. You play it for me right now, I'll cry in front of you guys, in front of 4 million of our friends. It's just the way it is. I've waited my entire life for this. John has. You think about. I think about Harry Carey. There's that Harry Carey spot that got me.
Oh my God!
See that? It's like he's not here to see it. Ron Santo's not here to see it. Ernie Banks isn't here to see it. And you take all that, and then you realize that there's everybody here, literally everybody here has an uncle or a dad or a grandpa or a mom or a sister, an aunt, a cousin, somebody they know that was as big a Cubs fan as they are that isn't here. They're not here with us to see it. And you can't help but get emotional when you look at those video packages and you hear Eddie Vedder. It's one of the most gorgeous songs ever written. Eddie did an amazing job with that song, and it captured, I think, the spirit of a Cubs fan and the spirit of the city. I listen to that. I could listen to that song. I'll go on a 6-mile run.
It's my ringtone.
Mile 5, it comes on. I'll start bawling in the street.
Oh, he's gonna have to write a follow-up though.
Someday we'll go all the way, he said.
Someday we went all the way.
But I was thinking too. The not only Harry, but Ron Santo, Billy Williams, Fergie Jenkins. All these players throughout the years. At one point I was at the stadium and I was with Bobby Dernier and Kerry Wood, part of the '85 team, part of the guys who couldn't get all the way, but all of them played with such tremendous heart. And I remember even when Kerry had hurt his shoulder, and the amount of effort and will the guy took just to get able to pitch again, right? And how much the fans loved this guy. The Cubs players, Jose Cardinal, when I was growing up, they'd be playing the Reds. And it was like a AAA team against the Big Red Machine somehow. But, Jose was grinding out at bats. And
he was tough.
There's the players in the city have a relationship. I don't think it's like, maybe in Boston, I guess it's like that. But
maybe. Not many places.
Not many places.
Let me ask you, both you guys. I mean, we've watched this team now for the last 2 years. As we talked about, 200 wins during the regular season, 97 last year, 103 this year. I know that you've been fans your entire lives, but when did you say Theo and Jed have done it? This team is good enough to get it done.
I got my answer. You got yours?
I would just say, like the moment they signed on, it really felt like the first time management
had a plan.
Yeah.
Felt like there was a direction.
I'm not going to say that other managers or other owners or other GMs or whatever weren't on board, but to me it was very much because it was very, very hard being a Blackhawks fan in Chicago for a very long time, and then all of a sudden a switch got thrown, and when the management was on board and they said this is what we're going to do, we're going to spend the money to get the free agent players and the big names here, and I used to go to Blackhawks games. There'd be 3,000 people there. Once they were all on board, and it was just like Theo, and he did it in Boston, and he got Jed, and Joe Maddon's on board, and they said this is our plan, and Tom Ricketts said this is what we're doing. If you want to jump off now, we understand, but this is it's not gonna happen this year, but it's gonna eventually happen, and that was in 2011. Like we're Cubs fans. It gave us hope, and all we need is that little bit of hope.
For me, it was I was out with Jason McLeod, and they were being very kind and talking baseball and all that. And this was before Kyle Schwarber had come up.
Right.
And he said, the best hitter we have in the whole organization is, who do you think it is? And I said, and I went through a list of these unbelievable talents.
Rizzo, Bryant.
I went through the list, right?
Right.
And he just looked at me dead in the eye and said, Kyle Schwarber. And for a minute, I thought, okay, so this is
who?
Well, yeah, I thought this is like we live in a world of hype and we live in a world of kind of flavor and all that. But he was dead serious, and then he came up and we saw what Kyle did last year, and then we saw what he did this year, which I don't think will ever be repeated in history. George Foreman heavyweight championship, Kyle coming back and getting his first hits in the World Series.
Amazing.
First hits.
Yeah.
First non-pitcher to ever do that.
First hits ever.
Yeah.
And when I saw how good these guys were at their job, Jason, Jed, Theo.
Right.
And they would, and they're guys who are straight up. They'll tell you what they're going to do. We're going to be bad for a while. We're going to draft. We're going to do, and then they do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, they're transparent.
And then when Jason told that to me, I thought, this guy's just trying to put a spin on a good pick, but he wasn't.
Right.
He was that good.
Yeah.
That's when I knew these guys are going to.
Yeah, I loved yesterday seeing Theo. He had a bear head on, like a bear head, and he's drinking through the bear head and spraying people with champagne. I'm like, that guy gets it, man. He knows when it's time to party and when it's time to work, but he's not one of those executives who's untouchable. He's a man of the people.
Yeah, and that's a great point because the players need to see that as well. And I think, this is all a very circular conversation because the players feed off guys like you and the fans. And, I mean, you know how this all works. But when we constantly look up. So we look up to our manager, we look up to our general manager. We say, okay, how are we supposed to act or how are we supposed to react? How do you want us to be defined as an organization? And Theo and Jed have set the tone with this group. There is an accountability. Listen, we're all about having fun, but there's a responsibility that goes along with it. And the players get it, and they respect it, and they understand it, and they're comfortable. And he communicates, and that's the one thing that I think is absolutely amazing. I played 12 years for 8 teams, 8 organizations. And I still, to this day, I mean, the communication that goes on in this organization didn't exist in my 12 years or the 7 other organizations I played for at this level. The ability to think that Kyle Schwarber, I could imagine thinking that, but he picked up the phone and called Theo and said, Theo, I just got back from the doctor. I need to go to Arizona. I wouldn't even thought about doing that. I mean, I would have called my agent. I would have called somebody else. I would have maybe tried to do it some other way, but he picks up the phone and he's like, I'm going to call the man in charge, my boss. Hey, Theo, I'm good to go. Time to go down to Arizona and get my knee right. He's like, wait, what? But even that happens is an amazing.
They had no idea he was going to be available.
Had no idea that was even a possibility, but the fact that there's that kind of relationship and communication all the way through the organization is an incredible thing.
And also these guys letting these young players develop and not, stamping down the great parts of them, but letting them be who they are.
Right.
Joe said to me one night, he said, this Javi Baez. I said, Javi's a showman, isn't he? He goes, yep, but I just want him to learn to make the routine play routinely, but I don't want to take out any of that star quality he has, that swagger. So each person is
it's like the way he lets them dress.
Well,
you think you look hot, wear it.
Each person's different.
But that's Game 7. I mean, what'd you think of Javi, right? So he goes to, and you and I said, this is why you want to hug him as hard as you can.
These 2 plays killed me.
Grab him and shake him, and he goes to the bare hand.
Yeah.
Goes to the bare hand and misses it, right? He makes the 2 errors, and we're like we're just right, and then he comes up. Totally redeems himself. It's a home run to right center field. I mean, amazing stuff.
We've got to go to Kelly Kroll. She's on one of the buses. The players are loading up, and the parade about to begin.
All right, guys, here we are on top of Bus 20 now, still in the Wrigleyville area. We haven't left yet, which, of course, some of the players are wondering what's going on. Maybe we're already stuck in traffic, right? But on the bus here, Anthony Rizzo and his family. Take a look. We've got Dexter Fowler along with his daughter Naya and Aaliyah there, his family. Jason Hayward on the bus. And Chris Bryant sporting off some serious hardware around the waist right now. We'll have that story for you. Behind us, Bus 21, that's David Ross. Oh, and Travis Wood. What do you think of that outfit, guys? Sporting his inner J.R. Smith. Who knows, maybe. John Lester also on that bus, and I just heard a moment ago Anthony yelling back, hey, John, this is my first parade. What about you? Not so much, right? Johnny Lester, though, going to see something this afternoon that maybe he didn't see in Boston, but this is going to be one entertaining bus ride, and we'll have lots of interviews coming up. We're going to wait just a minute because a lot of them would like to see the types of crowds they have and get in the moment so they can really talk about it. Here's Dexter. You want to say hi, Dex?
Nope.
There we go. Later, we'll get more from him.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, we haven't taken off yet, but what do you anticipate this afternoon?
A lot of people, a lot of, a lot of crying faces and a lot of happy faces. I think it'd be tears of joy, so we'll be happy.
All right, Tex, we'll catch up with you later. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to send it back to you for now, but there's just a small taste of what's getting ready to happen this afternoon.
All right, thank you very much, Kelly. We'll get you back out there as those buses are beginning to roll in Wrigleyville, and it will be something that I've never seen, none of us have ever seen here, and there'll be buses going down a parade on Michigan Avenue, and then they'll end up right here at Hutchinson Field at Grant Park. We had 3 catchers on the roster most of the year, and everyone went, what kind of team has 3 catchers? I believe all 3 got an RBI in Game 7.
Yeah.
I think they had 14 RBIs. In the entire
playoffs.
Playoffs, yeah.
Montero had 2 hits, a grand slam and the eventual difference maker
And the
in Game
game-winning
7.
single.
Yeah,
right?
It's unbelievable.
At the beginning of the year, you never would have predicted who was going to be on the mound and who was going to be behind the plate.
If I told you
to
Mike
close it out.
Montgomery would get the first career save in Game 7, you'd be like, who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have a favorite moment from this season? A moment where you probably said to yourself, okay, I knew this team was going to be good, but now I'm really buying what I'm seeing. Do you have a moment? Is there something this year?
Well, I'm trying to think because, like, the last 2 games were like an entire year for me. So I can't even remember June and July. But I think I'm just thinking back when Kyle had those first 2 knocks in the World Series, I thought we'll never see this again.
Right.
But let's see, this year, there's too many to pick.
That's right, sure.
There really are. And how fortunate are we to be able to say that? I remember hearing about Wilson Contreras.
Yep,
they drafted all these young players, and everybody in Iowa is amazing. And just like you said, Schwarber is this special player. His first at-bat, his first pitch, what does he do? He knocks it out of the park. Like that's a moment to me that kind of encapsulates the whole year.
Wasn't that Father's Day?
It's magic. It's been magic. And you hear guys like Rizzo say that, rubbing the helmet, and everything's magic. Even Chapman going up there and getting crucial outs, and then everybody's kind of criticizing, like, I don't know, his arm might be jello by now, and then that 2-run homer the Indians hit to tie it up, and you're sitting in your seat and you got your head in your hands and you're like, man, not again. We're this close. And to me, the season would have been a success regardless. If they lost that game, Game 7, to me it would have been a success. I
was the other end. You pushed all your chips in. You spent all this money. You went and got Chapman. Your goal was you had to win it, and they were able to
that's the
achieve
goal
it.
for sure. But when you see it get tied up like that in the 8th, and you're just like, oh my God, we were that close. And you've been a Cubs fan your entire life, and it's been pretty miserable sometimes. To see that, and you can say, okay, yeah, I could see it all slipping away. But you know what? I got a mug that says World Series. I got a souvenir cup that says World Series. I got socks. I got a T-shirt. I got a hoodie. I got a hat. I got a winter hat. I had like all this stuff.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm doing the math. Like, God, still a success. It's still going to be okay. And then they went ahead and they we got the rain delay. They put the tarp on, and the players basically said, "Nah, you know what?
We got
with
this.
that. To hell with that. We're going to do it. We're going to go all the way."
What were you thinking?
I was going to say probably when Joe did one of. I mean, we got the manager who's like part Joe, part the Bulls manager, Phil Jackson, and part Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger and he's got this whole Zen thing. But like when he does Travis Wood and the double switch, Travis makes that catch and hits a home run.
Yeah,
that was like the Cubs. That was one of those moments for me when I thought
that was a great moment.
These guys are gamers.
The bizarre.
Man.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. You never.
But they're
you wouldn't be able
baseball
to write it.
players.
You wouldn't be able to write a story like that.
Yeah, Javi Baez home run on Mother's Day to beat the Nationals in the pink. There's just so many cool moments.
Yeah.
Watch what Kyle. We thought, start of the year, Kyle Hendricks will be a good number 5. And he ends up leading Major League Baseball in ERA.
I felt like I lobbied over at MLB Network for months. I mean, everybody's, even here in Chicago, people were, what about David Price? Wouldn't it be great if we, added David Price to this and like Kyle Hendricks, most people understand, like for as many guys you go out and get, you're knocking your rotation down. So Kyle's pegged as your number 5 starter. Here he is missing starts in April because you skip over your 5th starter because you have a lot more off days. And think about it. From where we were at the beginning of the year to skipping those starts.
He's starting Game 7.
He's starting Game 7. He's knocking down Cy Young Award winners, and he's a Cy Young candidate.
And
how
about this? He just did the thing that no one had been able to do, which is win the pennant, right? And then he's only given up 2, 3, 4 hits.
And beat Kershaw.
You could have honestly said if Madden left him in till the 8th inning, unless he gives up a few knocks, you could have said, yeah.
This all started.
He's that good.
This all started as he was our number 5. It was supposed to go Arrieta, Lester, Lackey. It's
Hamill.
like Hamill, and is it supposed to be this way? And here he is pitching the pivotal games. One of the youngest guys in your rotation, and he doesn't throw as hard as the other 4, and he's your guy, and he wins the ERA title,
and might win the Cy Young. Will be in the top 5.
And then how about this? I mean, you would know who would be more responsible for it, the whole team, but a guy sitting next to me in the fan said when Hendricks picks him off right in the 2nd inning, he goes, "That's the difference right there.
Huge.
That's the game." I mean,
Right.
what about that
Yeah,
pickoff?
Picked off
move?
Jose Ramirez, and they showed Jose Ramirez, and he's in the dugout like
And then Hendricks get hit too.
That's a second pickoff in the World Series.
in the World Series.
Yeah, he picked
Yeah.
off
He picked off
Lindor as
Lindor.
well. Right.
That's what makes
So-
this team so fun for me to watch, is because it feels like for the first time in my life they're playing baseball. They're picking guys off. They're stealing bases.
Right.
They're
10 for
making.
10, I
they're
believe.
bunting.
It was always
You know,
the other
what about
team
that
doing that
bunt?
to us.
Who laid down that bunt that that it was a routine play and the third baseman couldn't get it done?
John Lester.
Yeah.
Remember when John Lester put a bunt with 2 strikes
Yeah.
in that game?
They do silly things like that you're not supposed to do. That if you're playing pickup baseball with your friends, you would try. As a lark, you're like, I'm gonna.
We
gonna
did
try
the
this."
things that I always watched the Cardinals or somebody else
Like
do
when,
to us.
like when Kyle Schwarber in the World Series, right? He's got a bad knee, steals a base.
Yeah.
Just
Standing up.
Standing up. I knew this was going to be. I said, all right, whatever you
We're
thought.
destined.
I thought whatever you thought this game is, this is going to be a wild one. Hold on to your seats,
Unbelievable.
man.
It's unbelievable.
Well, and just so that you know, I think when we're talking about this incredible journey that we've really witnessed, and let's admit it to ourselves, it was more than just 2016. To get here, we go back to 2015 when these young kids started to get called up. But I go back to Joe Madden being hired. Now, it's a little untraditionally. I mean, we all know who Joe Madden is, but remember, we had a manager in place, and the circumstances led Joe, and they were able to acquire him and bring him in. That brand of baseball that you guys just described, I'm not sure he gets that over on a veteran group. You're talking if you hand him a team filled with 6- and 7-year
Yeah.
Major League veterans, asking Chris Bryant to play multiple positions. I mean, he did that to Ben Zobrist earlier in his career in Tampa Bay, but understanding players become rather grounded, identified with who they are, where they hit in the lineup, and what they want to do. To ask players to do extremely different things in a game
every day
is not easy to accomplish. Your players have to buy in to what your manager sells. And I think that the timing was imperative to not only when they brought Joe Madden in, but to getting the young players, the Baez's, the Bryants, obviously Anthony Rizzo was there, but all these young players, Contreras, all together at the same time, moving in the same direction, but believing what Joe was selling.
But remember too, if the genius of that to me is that if Joe puts Travis Wood in the outfield, or he starts moving guys around
Right.
who aren't Ben Zobrist, who haven't done this
Sure.
their whole lives, all the pressure's on Madden. He's
Right.
saying, "Go out, play baseball." It's like nobody's going to
I'll
blame
take
you.
the pressure.
I'll take the pressure.
By the way, the
And-
buses are pulling out. You're seeing the buses as they are moving down. They'll end up on Lakeshore Drive, then get off at Inner Michigan and take it up Michigan Avenue. So it'll be cool. For me, the crystallizing moment of when I said, game on, we're back, was the day they signed John Lester. Because you could draft because you stink, and you could get these guys. When that guy who could go anywhere said, Giants, nah, Red Sox, nah, I'm going to the Cubs. I went, okay, game on.
I
$156
also
million.
thought when Dexter returned, and
On a
did
one-year
that-
deal.
on a 1-year deal,
Great call.
and it was just because that was the team, and he made that decision either to roll the dice or just because he really
Took
wanted
less
to be
money.
here. Yeah,
That was my moment.
that was the moment for me when
That
I
was
thought
my moment.
we're going to be in the
That's when I
NLCS.
believed, and you're right about John Lester. I mean, I was there. I was at the winter meetings when John Lester signed, and I knew that this team was starting to become a destination for free agents, and that's a good feeling. Trust me, when the best guys want to come to your town, you start to get excited. But when Dexter walked away from, at the time, a 3-year deal from the Baltimore Orioles to come back, and I actually went back last night and looked at the terms of his deal, and I know that only because he's opting to become a free agent now, but whatever, we're going to celebrate today. That Dexter came back and walked into spring training the way that he did. Hey guys, I'm back. In the middle of spring training, I thought, this is it, man. This team, this is going to be the group. They're going to figure it out. They're going to get it done. I really believed that when Dexter came back.
What do you remember?
This is kind of unrelated, but we're naming all these players, and I stressed this before you got here. Is how what I love about the team is how everybody contributed. Everybody. Just that game 6 and 7, just like you said, felt like a year. It's a microcosm for the entire season about how everybody was given a chance to step up and shine, and they produced. I want to talk about John Lackey, because I think what he did in Dodger Stadium in LA, I think it was game 4. I think we were down 2-1. Everybody's already saying, that's it. They're gonna put Kershaw back on the mound, and that's it. But Lackey went out there and fired up that team because he's so emotional. I just remember him. I can't say it can't say it here on CSN, but he's on the mound. Somebody didn't make a routine play to Rizzo, and he started yelling and screaming, and I think that's the kick in the pants that they needed, and I think that got them through.
All right, we've got to go back to Mark and Pat. They are at Wrigley. The buses are rolling.
Thanks, Cap. We're at the corner of Clark and Addison, the launching point here for the parade. Theo and Jed just went by on their double-decker. Theo clutching the World Series trophy. Everybody stopped singing Go Cubs Go for a minute to chant Theo, Theo, Theo. Quite the scene here.
I'll tell you, it was a long time to wait, but the fans are getting rewarded right now. A few thousand people out here at the corner of Clark and Addison. The open-air buses, the double-deckers going by. Everybody's got their cell phones out, taking pictures and video. This has been so long in the making, and Cub fans are soaking it all in. What a great experience. Glad it finally got underway. We got a beautiful weather, and everyone is just enjoying their Cubs winning a World Series championship.
And by the way, there will be no renovating done to Wrigley Field today. All the workers have their hard hats on. They are perched in locations all around the corner of Clark and Addison, watching the throng of buses take off here and make their way down Addison. Hey, Cap, a couple months ago, you and I were doing the radio. It was Columbus Day. The parade was going by the State Street Studios. You said to me, I'm not a parade guy. And I said to you, you will be one day. You are on this day, my friend. There's about 500 deep here at the corner of Clark and Addison. What do you think the amount of beverages like beer consumption in Wrigleyville the last 4 days?
The last bus that went by had Lester and Ross on it, and I'm sure those guys are celebrating like crazy. Those guys have been together through the Boston years, now here in Chicago, and for Ross to go out with this kind of celebration, unbelievable.
Let's send it back to you guys at Grant Park. Enjoy it, guys. It's going to be one heck of a day for the city of Chicago. We waited 108 years for this. We had to go to 10 innings of Game 7. What's 45, 50 minutes late to start a parade? No big deal, right?
It's huge.
Best night of my life.
All right, thanks, guys. So, again, running a little behind, but who cares? It took 108 years to win a championship, 45, 50 minutes.
A little behind.
What the heck?
You got a minute?
Yeah.
The whole thing's a little behind.
Where are we going here? Where are we going?
Exactly.
We're not going anywhere else.
Boy, I'm looking out at this scene here, and it's just CM and I were here for the Blackhawks. We were actually down at Soldier Field, but we saw the scene as it came through. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And then you add in everything at Wrigley, everything on Michigan Avenue, and the estimates are 3 million or more.
How many people do you think called in sick?
That is a pretty good one.
This is the city
Or
that
just
works,
didn't
but
show.
maybe today.
The city that works, not today.
But
Yeah,
you know what? They don't need to call in sick because their bosses are here too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's the funny
Exactly.
thing.
Well, isn't that what Mindy said? She was telling me that they had gotten all these new orders, right? Because I said, you guys are going to be busy today. But
Right. My wife works for
everybody's-
she's the marketing director, Lou Malnati.
Lou Malnati
I know.
said-
I've seen that on your show.
Yeah.
And she was saying
There
that
you go.
they were getting all these new orders, but then she said, but the thing about it is we got a bunch of dropped orders, and I said, wait a minute,
Who
Dropped?
cancels?
We're all-
And they said, yeah, our office
nobody's
is closing.
going to work. Right, we're closing our offices. Nobody's here, so
Right.
we've got to drop these orders. I said, well, that explains it, right?
It's unbelievable, really, to look around, and what a day we got. This is November, the 4th?
Yeah.
This is insanity.
Yeah.
I was.
How about the weather in Cleveland the last few days?
And listen, my wife would not have been with me if it was cold.
Okay, we were there
if it
games
gets too
1 and
cold
2.
at a ball game, she's out.
You weren't there 1 and 2. Were you there 1 and 2?
In Cleveland,
Yeah.
I was there for 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw you at 2.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was 41 degrees. The rain is coming down, and we're frozen.
Game
But that-
5
I
at
was-
Wrigley
I was-
pretty cold.
I was
It was.
happy about that because I thought, the Cubs were raking.
Our guys hit.
and then our guys hitting, and then it starts to rain a little bit, and they got to face Chapman in the rain and in
Right.
the cold. So I
Right.
wanted to get colder. I wanted to snow.
And then we get back there at 75 degrees. It's like spring.
hot.
It was awesome.
I was hot.
Absolutely
We needed air
awesome.
conditioning.
It was. It was a lot of fun.
I just think about all these guys. We were down there, and you just seeing the bench coaches and the hitting coaches. When you see grown men who are crying, it's not because of their bonus. It's not because of their bonuses.
No.
and it's not because they're going to be the winners. They're going to get a next contract. They know what this means to the city. They cared so much. It was such a beautiful thing. So poetic.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. And I got to bust your balls right now, John.
Hit me.
You know what this is going to be about, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I got the answer for it.
You might not know the question.
I'm assuming
2005.
Yeah.
I think he knows where you're going.
I know where he's going.
2005 on October 26th, and the only reason I remember the date is because it was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
I was so miserable.
Happy birthday.
The Sox.
You just have a birthday.
The
Happy
Sox
birthday.
win on my birthday, and I got a lot of friends who were busting my balls. The Sox won. They're Sox fans. I'm a Cubs guy my entire life. And I could never bring myself to root for the Sox, but I would never want to see them lose. I'm not a hater. They were there, so obviously
You felt like you were looking at a party you weren't invited to.
Yeah. But the thing is, since I'm not the Sox fan, in 2005 I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, so I was removed from all this, and I don't know what they did, but I wanted to ask, how does it compare?
Oh, I thought you had an issue with me. So
no, I have no issue with you. I have no issue with you.
Because I do get a lot of grief, but when I grew up, I was watching Harry Carey and Jimmy Pearsall on Channel 44, and I was watching the Cubs on WGN.
And they were hilarious.
They were hilarious. The disco demolition thing. And so I looked at the box scores for both teams, and when both Chicago teams won, I was double happy. Now it was Cubs first. But then I made a White Sox movie, 8 Men Out, and I wore the colors, and I just felt, hey, I'm for both teams. Now, I understand people don't like that in Chicago,
right?
But I love it when both teams win.
See, that's interesting to me because
I know I get tons of grief for it.
Uh-huh. I was born in Evergreen Park, Christ Hospital, so I'm born on the South Side. But because my dad was a Cubs fan, I was a Cubs fan. And I didn't know until maybe I got like 10, 12 or whatever. Oh yeah, I guess it's strange. I was born and raised on the South Side.
Yeah, what are you doing cheering for the Cubs?
Yeah, and it's very much like that. And I don't know, there's a lot of cities out there that don't have the two teams, but here, you got the Crosstown Classic and every year, and it always seems like you have to pick a side.
But that's the only game of the year where if the Cubs lose, I think for some reason it doesn't sting as much because I was like, they lost to a Chicago team at least. But I don't know, Bill Veeck and that whole stadium, and
he put the ivy up.
He put the ivy up, and he had the exploding scoreboards in the showers. I just thought it was a great Chicago. It's a part of Chicago, and I'm just happy when Chicago teams win.
Yeah, my brother's a diehard Sox fan, and I was Cubs, and
I get hammered.
Yeah.
For daring to like the Sox, even though I'm a Cubs
Well, like
fan.
when the Sox won in 05, I got destroyed by Sox
Yeah,
fans.
it bums you out because it's the lowest hanging fruit. The Cubs have never won. The GOAT, this, that, and you're just like, oh,
right.
man.
And then I'd go, really, we'll be over to fill your stadium for you in June again. And that would be my response. But they won. They had a World Series.
Yeah.
And now, finally, because I've always been the guy that said, if the Cubs were going to go to the World Series, super cool. But if they lost the World Series to the White Sox, I couldn't handle that.
Oh, no, forget
I'd rather not go.
But that would be the biggest champagne problem the city's ever had.
So that's kind of my question. I want to know, this wasn't that big of a deal in 2005 for the Sox, right? Was it?
Oh, I remember the city went up.
Did they?
Didn't you? I mean,
I think so.
I think the
Yeah,
city really
like I said,
embraced it. Ozzie Guillen was our manager.
Ozzie was so popular.
Right.
So
Yeah,
popular.
I don't think it will be what we're going to witness today. I mean,
No.
I think that's fair. I mean, let me be the guy, the eyes from, maybe outside, so to speak. But
There were a couple million. I mean, people did get behind it.
absolutely. But I mean, that's the way. I mean,
And Paulie Konerko was here for
I
so
was raised
long.
a Dodger. Yeah, I mean, Paulie Konerko and he's a dear, he's a friend
Yeah.
of mine. I mean, we came up to the Dodgers together. I knew him when he was 18
Yeah.
years old. I mean, you see it that way. When I came here to Chicago, the Cubs are huge. The White Sox are big. Does that make
All
sense?
right.
Yep.
Luke and Layla are above Michigan Avenue as the parade is rocking and rolling.
Yeah, we are. That's right, Cap. Thank you very much. And Luke, we have a pretty good vantage point here. We are on the rooftop of the London House Hotel, so it's really champagne problems here as well. We've had a great view of Michigan Avenue. We have a great view of Wacker, which is closed, of course, half of it. And we've seen this crowd grow in size, Luke. It was a few hundred when we got out here early this morning around 8 o'clock. We could still hear a boisterous crowd. Everyone in Cubby Blue, the river now draped in it as well, and the crowd has really started to grow.
They dyed the river. It's thousands are down there now. It's a spectacular view. I'm going to have a mimosa, celebratory mimosa after this. You could see them packing up down Michigan Avenue right now. The buildings in the area, people are coming up on the balconies behind the Tribune Tower to get ready and see these buses once they come by. Over at the Wrigley building, the W flag flying just below the clock of the Wrigley Tower. The Tribune Tower atop has a big W flag flying the W on the Tribune Tower, and down at the bottom, fans loading up. The river has been dyed blue. They started that about 9 o'clock this morning, and we have a spectacular place to watch this. We'll have this view for you as the buses start to come down this way. We're all anticipating it. The fans are waiting for it, and it's been a lot of fun. The season was a lot of fun. They've changed the way we watch Cubs baseball. Instead of waiting for something bad to happen, now Cubs fans can sit back, enjoy it. They're the champs, and by next year when it comes around, you can just enjoy baseball. You can have a good time because there's no more drought. There's no more curse to worry about or talk about. It's just winning baseball.
My favorite part about the Cubs winning wasn't just what we got to witness as fans, as media, as proud people who live in Chicago, as baseball fans. It's been every story that I have heard of somebody dedicating this win to someone in their family or one of their friends or someone they know who didn't get to witness it during the drought. And that's been probably the most emotional selling point for me. That's what I connect with, is hearing it's for your grandfather, it's for your great aunt, it's for your sister, for your brother, for your father.
Right.
And to see all these people here, you know that there's much more watching from up above. It's an amazing feeling, Cap.
All right, thank you very much, guys. We'll get back to you in a little bit. Joan Cusack joins us on the set here as well. I'm David Kaplan. He's CM Punk. Of course, John Cusack. You're an Evanston girl, and John was telling us about taking the train. I remember taking the Skokie Swift into the Howard L, get down to Wrigley. I was a vendor down there. What are your memories? Because you are a diehard baseball fan.
Okay, thank you for that. I did come a little late to the game. I didn't get what was going on with baseball the whole time, although my dad, when he held my son for the very first time, it was the first grandkid, looked at him and said, "You are anointed a Cubs fan." That was the first thing he said.
That's a true story. That's no flavor.
So
I was there.
My dad loved the Cubs the whole time. John, is a Cubs fan before he was ever an actor, ever.
Oh, yeah.
That's
first things first.
He's not even here as a celebrity. He's here as a Cubs fan.
Chicago Cubs fan.
How about
and
that?
I, get the religious element of baseball.
There is. We were talking about that.
No
He's
doubt.
not a religious guy. I'm not a super religious guy, and it's walking into Wrigley is like a religious experience.
Yeah.
Even though I work there, every time I see the green grass in the Abbey, I'm like, this is the greatest place in the world.
And there's nowhere else you'd rather be,
Nowhere.
right?
But
Nowhere.
seriously, it's like Buddhist. Like how these guys, Ross, when he was talking about, you just have to let it go, your failure. You have to just stay in the moment the whole time and see these guys that are so incredibly talented and they fail 7 out of 10 times, and the only way you get through it is letting it go. It's so deep.
And focusing on the next moment.
Exactly.
Which
one
is,
batter, one pitch, one out at a time.
And I was saying too, no matter what
I want
happened,
to make shirts with that slogan.
no matter what happened in the game, when I saw them going back to having those Cub at bats with Schwarber in there, which is like, no, that's an inch outside, and I just saw the good at bats return, and you saw them seeing the balls well. I knew it was going to be a roller coaster, but I knew we weren't going to have a heart. They were going to go out playing their brand of baseball, gambling, great batter's eye.
Didn't you feel like when Theo got it, no disrespect to anybody else that came before them, that okay, now we've got the smartest group running our team. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think they already had a pedigree because they did it in
They had
Boston.
a cachet.
Yeah, so
but they knew how to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
They did it. I love that they did it that way. That way that you just believe in people. You stay loose. You don't let the pressure get to you. And you just every single time, even when you'd see plays and they were you're like, oh my God, it's over. And then it just wouldn't be because they kept showing up.
They were resilient.
It's a great word for them.
When Chapman got hit there, that's getting stretched. But like Kerry Woods and these other teams, they may not have gone the distance, but man, they had this huge heart and they got up off the mat. Again and again and
we got to
again.
go back to the bus. The guy who gave the most motivational speech at Game 7 during the rain delay, Jason Hayward, is with Kelly Crow.
Jason, you know, you joined this team in the offseason with the intent of a brotherhood, of doing something special. And as you pass all of these fans and see what you've done, what does it mean now?
I'm so proud of these guys, my teammates, coaching staff, you know, the whole organization, front office, Ricketts family. You know, actions speak louder than the words, and everybody put everything they had into this year. And you know, I'm just humbled by the experience, and what a time for Chicago, what a time for Cubs fans, and I'm just happy to be a part of it right here with these guys. And I love this city, and so proud of them, and happy they get to celebrate this today.
How would you describe this moment right now as you're looking out and seeing all these fans and sharing it with your teammates?
This is this experience right now is unbelievable. You know, World Series, you win a ring, you play the last game of the year, you win that game, and all those things. But right here, this is why you do it, to get to celebrate and spend that time with the guys you went out there and worked from day one with, and share with the city that you play for. And there's no better city to play for in sports.
When you dreamt of this moment, because everybody does, right? The championship, the ring, the parade. Does this live up or exceed your expectations?
We're just getting started, and I feel like the guys on our bus, you know, KB, Dex, Riz, we're already overwhelmed, and we know there's a lot more to come down the road for this parade. So we're just, again, we're really happy we get to share it with this fan base, and unbelievable turnout. You know, it's a Friday, you know, school's not out yet, whatever. You know, but Chicago doesn't care. Chicago's going to celebrate, and as they should, and rightfully so. I'm very happy for them.
What's the deal with the WWE belt for Chris? What's behind that story?
I don't know what the story is behind that yet. There's always a new story though, so you just gotta stay tuned with us, because there's always something different every day. So we'll find out that one later. But if anybody's gonna hold the belt, it should be here and Riz, and those are my 2 MVP votes for sure.
Well, we didn't get to catch you the other night, but I know David Ross has meant so much to you in your career, and getting to watch him go out like this. I can't believe you didn't want to be on his bus today, right? But
yeah, but I gotta let him go with his boys, man. And not to say we're not, but we're all boys, and that's what's awesome. You know, this is kind of the second tier bus, I guess, or whatever, with Riz, KB, and Dex. Just we all share a bond as teammates, and I'm so happy for Rossi to go out the way he did. If you're gonna retire, that's the way you want to go out. Obviously, he did it in Boston. I'm so happy to get to do it with him here in Chicago. Obviously, we overcame a lot of things, throughout the regular season, but we made history here, and for him to start his career, for me to start my career with him in Atlanta, and him to finish his career with me here in Chicago as a world champ, that's unbelievable.
I can't believe he's calling this the second tier bus, guys. I think this is bar none the first tier, and I'll tell you what they did. The older guys all had to be together in case they needed the defibrillator, and had a heart attack.
The older guys got more championships, though.
There you go. I did hear you guys giving John a little bit of crap. Hey, this is your first one? No, this is your third one, right? So, but you guys will now get to match that story here in Chicago.
Absolutely. We're so proud of these guys, so proud of this group, and everybody have fun today. Unbelievable. Have fun for the rest of the time. We'll all remember it forever, and rightfully so. Congratulations.
Jason, always a pleasure. Enjoyed us. Thank you.
Let's go.
Guys, Jason Hayward.
Cool. All right, Kelly, thank you. Jason Hayward, thank you. We were talking about the motivational speech that he gave, and I read an article this morning about it where they said Addison Russell and certain guys were literally crying as he spoke before they took the field. That's going to go down as an indelible memory for a lot of people.
Well, amen, and amen that they were crying.
There you go.
Yes, you should cry. It's like that. I feel like that's like modern sports. Like, men are allowed to cry. You're allowed to feel things.
There you go.
You can't just like tough it out and grind it out and suck it up.
That's right.
You got to be loose, and you got to be relaxed,
In touch
and you got
with your
to trust
feelings.
trust yourself, and feel good.
You got to care enough.
You got to care.
Right,
yeah.
it's not about the money. It's about you. I think you said it earlier.
Not at that moment.
Those guys, they're not going, I get a $400,000 bonus out of it. No, they're like,
they weren't thinking about contracts. They're thinking about the
I
fans.
want to win for this city.
Yeah.
I want that ring.
And
That's
for the
what they
team,
wanted.
that's like a team. They feel
were
like such a team.
You're an athlete. They were a unit.
No, absolutely. I've said it ad nauseum on this broadcast. My favorite thing about them is how everybody contributes. Like you said, Almora Jr.
That's me too.
How about that tag up?
He doubles up and he gets the base. Hayward, people are on him because his bat isn't hot. And then he makes this ridiculous catch off the wall, throws a guy out at second. Everybody contributed. 3 catchers.
Miguel Montero has 2 hits. One of them was an 0-2 pitch to grand slam to beat San Francisco. He doesn't get another bat until he gets the game-winning
LA
knock.
gets to LA.
Oh, he got in LA. But look, he had a long time in between.
And then he gets the hit in game 7.
And the redemption, too. Guys
All
trying to bare hand
everybody.
stuff, coming back, hitting home runs. David Ross, fumbles the ball at the plate, falls over, later on, home run.
For a team of stars, young stars, it was an absolute group team
Every
win.
single guy
Every
contributed.
pitcher.
Up and down the line.
And they all had their ups and downs.
It's got to be Madden, too, that he treats them that way. He's like, you are a team, and he switched them around all the time.
Yeah, that was wild. That was beautiful,
that's
too.
as it should be. It's not like you just do your job and it's not my table. You're a community.
I like how Joe operates. He's just, hey, man, whatever makes you happy. Just
But
go out and play
seriously,
hard.
is he like a weirdly different kind of
Yeah, I've never been around a
operator?
coach like this.
Never.
Why?
Never.
Why? How did he get there? How did he
He
get
threw
to
out
like,
all the old rules. We don't need batting practice. Hey, you think you look hot, you can wear that. It's not, make sure you have your blazer on with your tie. He's just different.
You know what he is? He's your dad who doesn't take the game too seriously.
Correct.
There's a lot going on. It's a high-pressure situation, and then guys are making millions of dollars, and, there's agents and managers and contracts and all this stuff, and he's just like,
But maybe he knows, because he knows baseball, that pressure kills.
Yeah, right. And
It kills.
Well, what was the
in
first thing
anything
he
you
said
do.
when he got hired? Don't let the pressure exceed the pleasure.
Yeah.
But that's with everything in life. I mean, you tell that to your kids. You're like, don't feel so. Life isn't just
Wouldn't it
about
be the same
feeling
thing what you
pressured.
guys do for a living when you act? You're passionate
Totally.
about what you're doing. Don't let the pressure of the scene
Right,
take away from the pleasure
but I
you're
mean,
getting delivering it to
right.
us.
Yeah.
But it's with everything, right?
Right.
I mean, your job, anyone's job, you can feel pressure, and then you're like paralyzed.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
you
not
have
a way
to
to live.
you have to, in order to perform in a good way, you have to be in touch with your inner kid, and Matt just lets him. You can see
Right.
Travis Woods going out to the outfield. He's grinning like, I get to play outfield.
Right.
And it's all on. He takes all the pressure, and he says, "Yeah, it's all on me." And
Right.
you guys go.
This doesn't work. It's me.
Yeah, you guys go.
And
Have
that's
fun.
what a good parent does too.
He's
You're
a
like,
That's
what he
you
is.
guys just we're gonna
He's a
figure it
parent.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He parents a bunch
the
of,
best.
and then we have veterans playing like kids and kids playing like veterans.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff to see. Anyway, we've got a lot more coverage coming here on CSN. Kelly with the one and only Anthony Rizzo.
Wow.
There's a
That's
lot.
the way to do it. You just come, see that, and just get out.
So you're figuring it out, just in case. Oh, Anthony, what words do you have for what you're seeing right now with this city, the excitement, and this parade? This is what it's all about.
Yeah, it is, and it's awesome. It's so much deserving in this city. This is what the ultimate goal is about, and you hear guys who said it before. You want that parade, and we're here, and now we're about to be on Michigan Ave, and ultimate. It's a dream.
Describe the emotions as we're rolling along here. And mind you guys, he is sitting on the very back of the bus here. I will take care of the first baseman. I don't know that I'm going down with him, though. I really don't. No, describe the emotions that you're feeling right now.
It's just everything's coming in, all the hard work you put into the year, and even go bigger than that, all the hard work you put in your life, my whole life. Everyone that's been in it, involved in it, that's helped me along the way. It's just, this is the dream come true, and I never want this moment to stop.
What's it like to share it with the guys you're getting to share it with, too, from Dexter Fowler to Jason Hayward and, of course, Chris Bryant?
Yeah, it's awesome. The closest friends on the team, our families are all pretty close, and to have our families here is just, it's amazing.
I feel like you're having a hard time just soaking it all up. It goes so fast, right? We're really only going 5 miles an hour right now, but it feels like we've only been on this bus for 3 minutes, and it's already probably been an hour.
I swear it takes me longer to get home from the field than it is than we've already been on this thing. So it's just trying to slow the moment down as much as I can, and really embrace this and realize that we're the reason for this. The players, the organization. From top to bottom, everyone down from the Dominican League to Mr. Ricketts, everyone in between. It's just, we're the reason for it.
What conversations have you had that have really stuck out over the past couple days, whether it be just someone that reached out and said something that really stuck with you, or just someone you didn't even expect to hear from?
The conversation I had with Rossi, probably, I don't even know when it was, but maybe last year, he said, just wait till you're in the World Series and you're the last two teams playing. There's no one else, and then you're the last one standing. And we're the team celebrating now.
You were right next to him, arm around him, telling him how you were in a glass case of emotion. The emotion ended up all paying off in the end, and I imagine what you've gotten to experience with him just in the last 48 hours has to be pretty special as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that game is it's one of the best games ever. So to send Rossi out a champion it's awesome. We'll be linked forever together.
Okay, and you gave John Lester a hard time because he's done this before, but now you've got something up on him because he's never done it here. I mean,
no, he's never done it here. No one has. No one living has. So he keeps saying, I remember my first parade. Well, my first parade is the best one ever. So it's awesome.
Anthony, enjoy this. Thanks again so much. Hang on tight back here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys.
Boy, Anthony Rizzo, kid he's only one of 2 players on this team that were here in 2012 when they lost 101 games. Him and Travis Wood, and here they are 4 seasons later. That's not that long a time in baseball terms to be on a team that won 103 and won the World Series.
Well, and to be responsible for partly what the culture was supposed to be, the winning culture. You're thrusting that upon Anthony Rizzo. You were going to say, listen, we're going to assume you know how to win, young man, as you come into the big leagues after 1 or 2 years, then deal with the losing, and then snap your fingers and help these kids understand what the transformation's supposed to be all about. Listen, it takes a very unique personality, a guy like Anthony Rizzo that can embrace that. You watched him in the World Series. You saw a lot of his emotion play out, which I thought was really cool, on the top step of the dugout, putting his arm around Rossi. He was the right man for the job. Not everybody could have walked in and said, I'm going to be a loser. I know the team I'm getting ready to break in with is going to lose. Establish himself, and then be responsible, the clubhouse leader for a winner.
And then you also had the fact that he went through his own, cycle and drama through the NLCS. There was talks when he says, when are Russell and Rizzo going to hit? When are they going to hit?
Right.
And they had to go through that.
And find their way on the other side.
Arrive at this place where they had done it on the biggest
I loved
stage.
when he was in the dugout in Game 7, and the cameras, I don't know if you saw the coverage because you were at the game. I didn't get to see it till yesterday. They have the voices where the microphones in their voices, sounds of the game, and he has his arm on David Ross. He's like, from Anchorman, I'm in a glass case of emotion right now. It completely goes over Ross's head, but that told me he's actually pretty chilled. He's quoting movie lines.
Yeah, and then when he was on third base after Zobrist does. I mean, Zobrist might be the only guy who didn't. I don't even know if he had a bad at bat all year.
Yeah, it's what
I don't know.
Like, I said it the same way to Cappy in the postgame.
The guy was so unbelievable. He hits the thing at Rizzo's on third base, and you see him going, "Oh my God!" That's what we were all doing in the audience.
Yeah, because it hit him in that moment. Here we are. Here we go.
To get up off the deck like that. To get up off the deck.
Back to Chris Bowden. He is on the parade route right outside Grant Park.
Cap, thanks a lot. I hope you got your sunscreen on a day like today for that noggin of yours. It is so bright and so warm out here, and we're probably at the quietest spot on the parade route at this very moment. All the hype and the hoopla going on at Wrigley and North Michigan Avenue right now. Everyone in this location on the north end of Grand Park at Columbus and Monroe kind of sitting tight here. It's been quiet. The loudest cheers we've had so far for a fire truck going the opposite way, a non-emergency situation, of course. But here, as the team and the caravan will come down Columbus, heading south toward where you guys are at Hutchinson Field, we're outside the Art Institute. Again, this is the northernmost area of Grant Park where fans can start gathering. There's another group of fans about a block west along Michigan Avenue. They won't let them come in from there. I think most of the fans here to come up here more towards Monroe and then lining up all the way down on Balboa. So we're probably, about 10-15 minutes away from these trolleys, the police first, then the trolleys and the caravan coming your way before the party really starts where you guys are. So that's it from the north end of Grand Park. Let's send it back to one of the Cubs buses. Our Kelly Kroll caught up with Chris Bryant's dad, Mike.
Well, guys, I'm now joined by Mike Bryant. What an experience. Describe what the last, 48 hours have been like for you.
I think I've finally been in my entire life speechless. I didn't have any more words. But actually, I've been talking so much. No, this is, I haven't stopped crying since we left. This is amazing.
I was going to say, I can sense the emotion. Yeah. Where does that come from? Everything that you guys have worked for, and to see this team full of such great guys experience this?
I think when you see someone realize their dream and they're your own with flesh and blood, and You know, it's so hard to hold back emotion under those circumstances. I mean, this thing hasn't stopped. The game hasn't stopped giving back for about 4 or 5 years straight right now. This is, you know, I don't know what I did to deserve this. This is unbelievable. I wish it on everyone. This is unbelievable from a dad to be a dad and watch this happen to your son.
I was just going to say, we'll have our photographer pan over and show Chris up there, and I want you just to walk us through this moment as you're looking up at him. You're seeing the skyline of Chicago in the background, and then millions and millions of people.
Well, I'm like, Chris, you know, I want him to give more of himself, you know, to each and every one of those people out there. That was incredibly moving in Wrigleyville to see that many people hit 120 dB. I mean, I couldn't believe how loud it was. It was so moving, but to watch Chris, you know, experience this and to be able to share it with Chicago is unbelievable. To see the love on everybody. I mean, they've waited so long for this, and in all its complexity, it's just a game, and we have to remember that a little game can bring so much happiness to adults. They're back to being kids again, you know, and I've never lost that, you know. I'm so sold on this game and so passionate about it, and then just to be so connected to it with him right there.
It's incredible the way it can bring a community together, and we're seeing that in front of our eyes, and to know your son was part of the history that's going to change how people view the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah. You know, I've always said, you know, to whom much is given, much is expected, and I think Chris is starting to realize that, especially today. This is a culmination of all that, and look at the gift that you gave to the city. The game has kept giving to you for so long now, you know, and it will continue as long as you continue to give back. And boy, this is a huge gift for the 10 million people in Chicago. It's unbelievable. I feel like I just won the World Series, you know, and that's how close. Yeah, I do. I feel like I did, and I got to take a step back once, you know, from that, you know, but to live vicariously through your kid. Look at me, guys. I recommend it.
You're the rock for him, though. They all need their rocks, and you're that guy.
I would have gone to the ends of the earth for my son to give him the opportunity just to play. And now, you know, he created that opportunity, and now he's playing in the best league on the planet against the best players on the planet, and he's becoming one of the best players in the league, and he's going to be driven to get better. And I'm already talking to him about what we're going to do for next year already. He's like, Dad, you know, I said, no, champions, they take a few hours off to sleep. That's about it.
They do. They got to soak this in. Well, tell us about the championship belt here. Did that come out of your closet?
Oh, no, that's pretty cool, though. No, when I saw it, the first thing Chris said to Rizzo was, you're not getting this.
That sounds about right. They always are having fun, and boy, they gotta soak up this moment along with you, Mike. We appreciate your time.
Oh, anytime. I love this.
Thank you, guys. Mike Bryant, Chris's dad.
Luke Stuckmeyer and Layla Rahimi. We are 22 stories above the Michigan Avenue Bridge, where the buses are now starting to come up Michigan Avenue. We've got a great vantage point. Our photographer Erica Fogel will pan over eventually and show you as they start to come up. We've heard, Layla, some of the trolleys with front office people starting to come up and down the street, down Michigan Avenue, and you can hear the roar slowly start to come up 22 stories. I can't imagine how loud it's going to be here when the fans see those players on those double-decker buses. You can start to see more of the trolleys coming. We've heard tubas blaring down low, and also we have the river boats starting to position themselves along the bridge, and they're blaring their horns as they're waiting the players to come.
Yeah, so the good news is if you are in a high-rise downtown, you can tell they're coming because we're hearing a crescendo of noise, positive noise, of course. And normally when a helicopter's overhead and sirens are blaring and you hear a lot of people, it's not a good sign. In this case, it is completely the opposite. One of the quintessential Chicago scenes that I enjoy so much seeing right now, all the boats on the river, Cubby Blue, and they have the W on top of the boat, so those who are in the high-rise buildings can look down and see it. A lot of people put their boats away at the end of October. They might be regretting that decision now. As we look down, we see pace cars, we see a truck carrying the big version of the trophy. Of course, everybody wants to see the real size version of the trophy that will be carried by the players as we start to look and see who's coming south as they head downtown.
All I know is I can see 4 helicopters above us right now off in the distance. I can hear the horns blaring up Michigan Avenue. We're peeking right around the corner of the Wrigley building down between the Tribune Tower. And again, you can hear the audio starting to build up. It's so fun to look down these high rises and see the people atop the high rises on their decks. There's a guy behind us. He must be 26 stories up and he's just poking his head out a window trying to get a glimpse of this. This weather is unbelievable. And you know, when you wait 108 years for a party like this, I think Cubs fans deserve a nice blue sea day here in Chicago. It is spectacular. What a view we have up here.
It's so much fun to watch. I'm a little worried about the people who are hanging out of the windows because they don't have screens. So guys, please be careful just for me. One of the fascinating things to see too, Luke, is that the northbound lanes of Michigan Avenue are filled with people right now.
Yeah.
You're standing in the middle of the street and you get to watch this in the middle of the street, and there are so many people, thousands. We've seen them all start to slowly come out. We've seen crowds as early as 8 in the morning. Everybody fired up to be here. They got their spots, and now they get to enjoy this and really bask in the sun and enjoy the weather and everything that is a part of today.
Layla, you're talking about a 4-mile parade that's going on, and it's not an exaggeration to say people have come from all over the world within 48 hours to try and get to this parade. There's people down there. I ran into a guy that was here from Vietnam, had come here. All over, you know, the whole state of Iowa's here. Nebraska, full of Cubs fans. My nephew came and my sister came just from Milwaukee, so people are coming from Wisconsin just to see this Cubs parade. But when you go down there, literally people from all over the world. China, I saw a guy from Korea said he had waited to get here, and we're starting to see them slowly wait for these buses, but we're almost here, Cap. This is the celebration of a century. We've waited for this our whole lives. Some people waited for many generations in their family to see this parade. What a celebration this is, Cap.
All right, thank you very much, Luke. It is. It's a parade that I think growing up in Chicago, you dreamed of. Man, I wonder if the Cubs could ever get like that parade down that, what do they call it in New York, the Canyon?
The ticker tape parade.
Yeah, ticker tape parade. I remember 85, January 86, the Bears had the parade, but then the Challenger thing happened, the accident, and everything kind of went on hold. And we've never really had it. Then the Bulls arrived, and the Bulls were really cool. But we've never had it for this team, and it seemed like it would never happen.
I just think it's because it's been 108 years, and I think because the Cubs are just so ingrained in popular culture. You know, when you
nationally.
Yeah, no, I definitely think. I think everybody at MLB is happy. You know, I think the most people watch this World Series than I can remember, and it was an amazing, exciting 7 games. So, you know, hopefully those people are coming back. You know, they made some new baseball fans. It's just amazing. It still hasn't sunk in for me.
Well, it's because it's beyond baseball, and I think that's your point. And that's the way that I see it. I mean, I get it, in baseball culture and talk and lingo, and you get the teams and who are your favorites and who's supposed to win every year. But being here today, I think looking at all of you who are from Chicago, born and raised here, thinking that this moment is actually happening for you when I think most of you thought maybe I go down just like everybody else before me, living an entire life without ever getting to experience this.
Oh, and the thing about Chicago fans are they would say, and if we go out, I'm going to go out loving the Cubs.
Right,
I'm going to go out and it'll be the next generation. So there's some very unique thing happening here where, our hearts have been sort of broken, but they grow back stronger, and we just love this team, and they love the players, and the players love this city. It's something very unique
like
here.
You talked about going as a kid, you went as a kid, I went as a kid. My dad, I remember him taking me to my first game, and you come up the stairs and you go, okay, this place is awesome with the ivy. And so he's gone. And I'm going out Monday, and I'm going to take a pennant, and I'm going to set it on his grave and go, guess what, Dad? In fact, he'll tell you, when that final out was made, they're in our ear going, your guys are on in 90 seconds. And before that, I had to look up and go, we did it. It's just sad that so many fans aren't here to be able to experience it.
This was never supposed to happen. I mean, in the mid-'80s, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis wrote Back to the Future, and in Back to the Future 2, they put in there that in the future, the Cubs win the World Series, and it was a joke because it was never supposed to happen.
Right.
That joke was funny because the Cubs are never going to win.
Right.
This is never supposed to happen. Just take a look over your right shoulder. You know, it's happening.
Okay, you're a movie guy. By the way, the buses are rolling down Michigan Avenue, so drink in the sight. You're a movie guy. Do you think that Hollywood will make a movie about this? It's so enormous.
I don't know. I in a weird way, I hope not, because I think the real thing is a much better version. So,
way cooler.
Yeah, it's much better. And but I think, you know, you could, if you tried to capture it, you just couldn't. Like, I was on the social media and I was looking through the stories, and they said there was a gentleman who literally went to his father's grave.
I got the story right here.
And he listened to the win, and immediately when I was in that stadium, I just looked up. I thought,
to grave to share Game 7. Drove 650 miles from North Carolina to his dad's grave. Set his smartphone down, put it on speaker, and said, "Dad, I promised you, if we were ever going to win the World Series, I'd listen to it with you."
So immediately, me and my sister and my family, we thought about my father, and we thought about all those things.
Unbelievable.
But, you know, the world is so full of hype and people adding, you know, hyping themselves, me, right? But they don't understand that for Chicagoans, it's just different.
It is.
It's a different relationship to this team that does transcend sports.
This
it really
is a
does.
provincial town. We want our own. You know what I mean? We grew up. That was our team. You don't go, they stink. I'll go pick the Yankees.
All you had to do was like spend one afternoon, as we were all probably lucky to do, with like Ron Santo or Billy Williams.
Unbelievable.
I mean, just one afternoon, you'd get a little taste of it. But then if you were there every game, rooting for these guys.
To your point, I mean,
you came here.
Well, and that's what I was getting at. But the first time I came here was as a 22-year-old outfielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the first time I stood in the outfield, I said, I want to play in this town.
That's what everyone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is where I want to win. I want to be here. Now, it took me 10 years to finally get here, you know, from that day. But, I mean, I got here. I mean, I felt it the minute I stepped into Wrigley Field and stepped into this great town.
What did Eric Karros tell us? Every player should play at least one season for the Cubs.
I mean, Ryan Dempster was like the greatest. He was like, he was scouting for other players.
Right.
He just, he was at that stadium every day, handing out peanuts across the dugout to people.
And it's not just, and let me say this because I think it's important. It's not just our great town because of the great places to eat. Michigan Mile. And a lot of players love it for that. Nice hotels, just a lot of things to do in this great city of ours. It's the fans. I mean, in all honesty, I came here and I made one of the worst blunders of my life as an outfielder. Remember, I told you.
Oh, yeah, you caught the ball. There were only 2 outs, and he thought the inning was over. 2 runs scored.
You caught the ball. I wouldn't say it's a blunder.
Well, it was bad. It was real bad. Well, I did. I caught the ball, but I forgot how many outs there were. Sammy Sosa tags from second base and scores. Both guys, Mark Grace and Sammy, both scored.
You can find it on YouTube, folks.
Thanks. Right. Everybody check it out. But that was when I came here for the first time. It was cold. It was snowy. It was April.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake, and the fans were giving me the business. They were like, "Oh, you don't know, giving me the business. We'll just leave it at that." But their passion just came through. Even being on the other side, I thought these people are the best. These are the best kind of fans right here.
I'll tell you one other thing just on that point, which is everybody says, "Oh, they're the lovable losers. It's just a bunch of cake eaters out there on the north side drinking beer." They watch the game.
Oh,
why do you think they love David Ross?
Right.
Why do you think they love these players? Or why do you think when Andre Dawson came here and said, "You write in how much I want to play here,"
right.
And he with that knee, the way he played, or anybody who busts their tail and plays it the right way, the fans get it and they love it, and they're always there.
Yeah, I think other fans in other places, a lot of the times they'll get hurt when a player leaves. I can't remember the last time a Cub. I mean, even Kerry Wood. He left. He played for another team. when he came to Wrigley Field, everybody stood up and clapped.
Right.
Nobody booed him.
Right.
Oh, no one would ever boo Carey.
Yeah, but
and then he wanted to retire as a Cub.
I can't remember the Cubs fans ever booing anybody in that way.
I remember David DeJesus, who was a nice guy. He wasn't here very long, 2 years. He goes to Tampa, and they come in here, and a standing ovation for David DeJesus because they liked how he played.
Right.
That's what I mean. They're not.
Once
they're
a Cub,
not.
always a Cub, and you can appreciate that as a player or a former Cub. And I think that's when I say we get it. As former players, like we talk about, Ernie and Ronnie, and what this means to them. They've obviously left us, and kind of how it means in all of this. But there's a lot of former players out there in the United States right now that are watching this, thinking, I was privileged enough to put that uniform on. I got it when I was there. I wished it could have happened for me. It didn't. But I'm so happy that this city actually gets to experience this.
But in a way, it did happen for them too.
Well, we're living. I'm living through them.
I don't know, man. I think it's for everybody.
What year was that play where you caught the ball and forgot how many outs?
96, 97.
Why don't we show everybody exactly that play? Take a look. There's our guy, Holly, time 28. There's not 3 outs in the inning.
Man.
Thank
You're
Nelly.
the best, Cappy.
Thank Nelly back
Appreciate it.
there in the booth.
I'm glad I've
one
never
more in
done
before the
anything
end of the
embarrassing
season, right?
on camera that you guys can show right now. Let me tell
I've
you.
done too many embarrassing
Yeah,
things.
that's what I mean. I'm nervous now.
You could fill up a whole
I'm nervous.
And it's amazing.
But
I saw
do you feel
somebody
like Go ahead.
tweeted, there's only whatever number of days left till opening day. It's
Right.
like
Pitchers and catchers. When do they report?
February 15th, baby.
Awesome. I
Right
might
around
be
the
there.
corner.
Hey, listen, I drove to Cleveland. So on the way to Cleveland and on the way back, it was all Cubs.
Yeah.
Every single license plate had a Cubs bracket.
I wouldn't know. I was sleeping on the way back.
Every
Yeah,
rest stop I
drove.
went to, everybody's wearing Cubs stuff.
Well,
But
we're
we silently observing each other and recognizing each other. Just a little nod.
How you
Nobody
doing?
said anything on the way there, but on the way back, every time I stopped, everybody's high-fiving. Everybody's loud. Everybody, it was just such a nice moment.
The Cleveland Stadium was packed with Cub fans. They all started yelling Kluber, Kluber. You'd just be getting random fans just coming up and bear hugging you, no problem. But I got to say too, the Cleveland fans were all class, man. They were into their team, but then something good would happen. They look and they go, "Good luck."
Right.
And
Yeah, they got it.
They get it.
They
and
were
I'll tell you,
68 years. We were 108. They understood the pain.
Yeah.
but they had a lot of class in that town. They treated everybody really well.
We drove back right after, I should say, he drove back right after the championship game. I got in the car. And,
Senior citizens need their sleep.
oh, man, I passed out. I was out.
Did you cry?
We drove there.
Or did you cry?
I cried.
He cried a little
Absolutely.
bit,
100%.
When?
100%. I got emotional when the final out happened, and then I cried watching a couple of the videos where it's like, Eddie Vedder's song with the highlights and the youth, and it was really tough. All right, I think the buses have reached where, Nelly? Where are we at? Monroe and Michigan? Monroe and Columbus. So they are right here, and we should have not too much longer where they'll be on this stage behind us here, and it will be a glorious celebration of the best team in all of baseball.
Can you give me some sunscreen?
Yeah, I probably
I'm getting a little red up here, I think.
Isn't it great? Can you believe this is November 4th?
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Insane.
Perfect day, right? For the perfect team.
It is.
I love
it's
it.
It's like the good
I'm
Lord
excited.
said, all right. John Lester tweeting. You can follow him at JLester34. He's tweeting about the parade. And you'll see those tweets as they roll across our screen here on CSN. Loves the Blue River. I think the Blue River is amazing. I know every year on St. Patty's Day they dye it green. I think it's pretty cool that Mayor Emanuel got them to dump Cubby blue dye in and dye it blue. I think it's pretty cool.
Can't beat it. It's beautiful.
How do they do that?
I don't know how they do that, but as he's so
How do you make a river blue?
Rivers are supposed to be blue.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think they put dye in it. We were watching the boats racing up and down it, and I think they stir it up that way.
I don't know. We should go jump in.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
I'm in.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll do it.
Blue.
John, you
Look
said
like
something
Smurfs.
that Game 7 was like a microcosm of the season, the
Oh, my God.
torture of being a Cub fan. It really was.
Yeah.
There were beautiful moments. Then there was the home run, and you're like, you got to be kidding me.
There was all the heart, the redemption, some failures, the setbacks, getting gut punched, but then getting up off the deck. That's the thing. This team, for all throughout the years, even when they didn't have the talent, there were still players who played the game the right way and play with such heart. And this was like an entire season in a game.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I couldn't. My throat's coming back now.
Why do you think I slept the whole way?
Do you have a favorite player, favorite Cub player you like, style?
In my lifetime or on this team?
No, on this team.
It's too hard to. It's too hard to pick. You know, I say Rizzo, but then there's
favorites.
Bryant. And I love Montero because to me he's like the heart of the team. I like Lackey because he's like this surly old guy who keeps everybody in check.
How about all time as a kid from the beginning?
That's Jose Cardinal for me.
I loved Jose Cardinal. He lives in the Chicago area.
Yeah.
Loved him.
Andre, Bill Buckner, I loved his time.
I wore number 10 in Little League because I loved Sano.
Do you have a favorite?
It's like
Cub
you love guys for different reasons. You know, like I
was
like
very
Hector
into Baez,
Villanueva because of the way
because I'm
Harry
always
Carey
interested
said
in
his
the
name.
potential.
You know what I mean?
The potential of the guys.
Villanueva.
And I thought he would do something every day with the glove that it was sort of like watching Ozzie Smith. You know, we thought you can't do that. I've watched all these great players do that, but he's doing stuff that I haven't seen before with the tags and stuff.
Sure.
And then knowing that his bat would come around. But I love them all. And, Chris Bryant's an MVP, so it's almost like you take for granted this kind of 5-tool skills that he has.
And then you think about it, there's
but of course,
23-year-old
Rizzo, Anthony
Addison
being
Russell,
a
25-year-old Chris Bryant, 26 Anthony. You're like, wow, we actually should be good for a while.
And then Schwarber, of course. But everybody on the team, I was thrilled when they got Coughlin back.
23 years old.
As odd as that was to admit, a great discussion kind of was out there during this World Series because the Indians had this incredibly long drought and still do in winning a World Series as the Cubs did. Now, it was 108 years versus, 68 years, I believe, something like that. But, that was the argument that was kind of being posed was the idea that this team is going to be really good for a long time.
Yeah.
So, and I heard a couple Cleveland people selling this. I mean, I wasn't buying it, but they were like, you can have your
us win this year because you're going to win a lot.
Because we're not going to be back for a while. You guys can wait because you're going to be really good for a long time. And I mean, I think you guys both see that in this team. I mean, this is a really good team that we're going to be talking about for a while.
They're good and they're young.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are locked into some lengthy contracts. So
well, and then I was talking to some normie baseball fans, right, who like the Cubs, but think that they don't understand.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, Kyle Schwarber will be gone in the offseason. He's a DH player." I said, "That bat's not going anywhere.
Not happening.
That kid, that young man, with that kind of character." It's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
And, Joe Madden said this morning that because as he put it, all the crap is gone now, the Billy Goat and all this nonsense, he goes, now we can move forward unencumbered with all this talent. That's pretty good.
Well, and even the applied pressure from outside sources should be much less than it's ever been. Players always feel that pressure, but I think that goes away now.
All right, let's take a timeout. The players will not be too far down the road getting on this stage. We'll have it all for you. Quick timeout. We'll come right back on CSN.
A liberal arts education is more than just a degree.
It's about learning and evolving in a place where tradition and innovation meet.
It's a balance of embracing history while challenging the expectations of our future.
It's where scholar meets athlete.
Artist meets researcher. Leadership meets service.
And inspiration meets opportunity.
See beyond the degree where possibilities are endless. Find your balance at St. Xavier University.
Hi everybody, this is Pat Hughes. The Chicago Cubs are World Series champions. To commemorate this, BigTimeBats.com is releasing the 2016 World Series champions Louisville Slugger two-tone bat. The full-size bat will have the Cubs logo and the World Series champions logo. The bat is limited to 10,000 individually numbered bats and sells for $129.95. Call Big Time Bats now at 1-866-280-BATS.
Hey, you got this party hopping. Plasma blender. What you powering all this with?
Honda. EU 2000. Lightweight, reliable, super quiet. Can't beat them. What about you?
Grandpa. He's been going strong for 82 years.
gotta go.
Nothing powers your party like a Honda. Honda generators. Very smart.
No one delivers more in-your-face hockey than NHL Center Ice and NHL Network. With up to 40 star-studded games a week all season long. Bringing you closer to every goal, every save, and every hit that fuels hockey's biggest foes. Feel the power of controlling the most hockey on TV. And let the game live where you do. Order NHL Center Ice now and don't miss another moment of action. Call 1-800-GET-SPORTS.
Hecky, now we got plenty pride and passion. Yeah, we got many styles and fashions. Michigan to Austin, every part has events to offer, and the fireworks are off and spark. Yeah, best decision I ever made was coming here.
Standing on your big shoulders. Pride and do nothing but love for you, stay here forever.
My 95-year-old mother developed a deep bed sore in a nursing home. They told me this was normal, but it didn't sound right to me. I immediately called the nursing home lawyers at Pintas and Mullins.
If you or a loved one has suffered from bed sores, sepsis, broken bones, physical or sexual abuse, malnutrition, or choking, call me now and we'll investigate your case.
Pintas and Mullins got my family $800,000 from the insurance company.
You pay us nothing unless we get you a settlement.
Drought, and is one of our top plays of the postseason, brought to you by Honda Power Equipment. And welcome back in here to Hutchinson Field at Grant Park on an absolutely cloud-free, spectacular day in the greatest city in the world.
Get you some sunscreen.
Chicago is just unbelievable. The three of us, it's our hometown. You made it your hometown. You raised your children here. And
it's his hometown now, too.
It is.
There's no
he raised his kids here.
Yeah, I live here year-round.
He does.
Yep.
He's been here a long time. You grew up in the suburbs. You grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs. And I keep turning around. I go, I'm just looking out going, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like I saw this for the Bulls, the Hawks, the Sox, and the Bears, and always wondered, when's my team going to get its chance, finally?
Do you guys hear the odd silence, like there's this anticipation, like they know they're close? Do you feel that right now?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, you know what I think it is? Here's what I think it is. Because last night I got back from Cleveland at 7 a.m., right? Then I still couldn't sleep because I wanted to wait for the papers, to read the papers again. Then the next day, I watched the game again because I wanted to make sure that it had happened. Right. So I think maybe there's a little bit, everyone wants to make sure that wasn't like the Apollo moon landing.
Quiet right
yeah,
now.
I know.
CM and I are both like, it hasn't sunk in yet. We did a poll question yesterday. Has it sunk in yet? Like 70%, no. I haven't sat down and just processed it, you know?
Well, you were in Cleveland, though, right?
Yeah.
Some part of it hit you there because we saw that final out.
It did, but we were like in game mode. We were on the air.
Yeah.
I want to just sit down on my chair, have a beer, and just watch, hear the calls, and just go, wow.
Well, it's a drastically different experience if you're there live or if you're watching it at home.
Right.
You know, and I think just being a Cubs fan, not being able to hear the calls and stuff like that, because I think JD and Len do a great job, and sometimes I watch playoff baseball and I get bummed out at the commentators.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I couldn't see the strikes because even that Chapman was out of the inning, right?
Yeah.
That was the ball broke over the knee, so then you're thinking
Kyle Hendricks had a strikeout in game 7.
So I'm watching live and I'm going, I gotta watch this when I get home because I gotta see where these strikes are. I gotta see what's going on.
So you guys know, I'll tell you what ends up happening in Game 7s, in games that are decided. You know, here umpires don't want to be the deciding factor. They want the players to decide it. So they're less inclined to ring guys up on borderline pitches. And I think that's what you guys were experiencing in Game 7. It happens all the time, very common. Home plate umpire doesn't want to be talked about, so he wants you guys to swing the bats.
Unless you're Joe West, you want to be talked about that.
But that was Game 6, and you're right, but it happens a lot in Game 7s. I see it because I end up talking about it all the time. But you see home plate umpires, they don't like putting up that arm because they don't want to be the ones to decide it. They want the hitters to hit and the pitchers to pitch.
And it was funny, we talked about would Joe West be a factor in the game, and he turned out that he was a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, guys
shocking.
I think it favored the Cubs to have good at bats because they got back to, hey, 2 inches off now, bring it in.
Joe West isn't calling it 2 inches off, and it played into the Cubs, right? which was pretty cool to see. You can hear the roar of the crowd as they are anticipating the arrival of their heroes, the 2016 World Series champion Chicago Cubs, and they are close, and as soon as they get up there, we will have everything for you. We'll carry the ceremonies and the speakers. I think Tom Ricketts is going to speak. Obviously, Mayor Emanuel will speak, and it's just, I think it's cool it's on a Friday because everybody just rolls into party mode the rest of the day.
And the schools were out today.
Yeah. A lot of schools closed.
So, right?
Shut it down,
My kids
Cubs
are out.
Day.
National holiday, man. It's a national holiday.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
3-day weekend. Let's do it.
I didn't even have to ask my sister if my nephew was coming to the rally.
Right.
You know, because I didn't realize school was out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
He's
given.
coming. He's coming.
Yeah, it's like two of his kids, or one of his kids and a friend is here. And I said, do you realize you're 14? That's all you waited to see this. I'm 55. I know how painful being a fan of this team has been.
Oh, yeah.
That's what makes it so sweet.
Oh, I get it, man. I absolutely get it. I understand it. My neighbors, my friends, where I live, people have expressed it to me. I mean, what a joy that they're finally here. I talk about that release, and I see it in all of your faces. You know, it is it. I mean, I expected them to win all along because I didn't know any better. You all know better, you know.
No, but I always believed they would one day.
Well, right.
I just didn't know if they're going to make.
But
I didn't know if it was going to be when I was 92.
And we never had a team that was this good.
Right.
So you, looking at it like mathematically,
what I
baseball
recognize.
stats, you're like, look at this team. This
I
team's going to
recognize
do
the
it.
quality of
And
the
we're
team,
all going,
right.
well, yeah, maybe. We hope they do
Yeah.
because that's what we did every year. But the team's never been this good. The management has never been
Well,
this
he just kept
good.
saying to me, things happen. And I'm like, what do you mean things happen?
Right, it was
And
6-3,
like, things happen.
and I'm getting texts after, congrats, dude, I'm happy for you. I know you love that
Yeah,
team.
you
I'm
weren't
like,
replying to him.
and I either didn't reply or said, stop.
Yeah.
Not yet. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, you don't understand.
I was doing the same
Being
thing.
a fan of this team, there's no done
Hilarious.
deals.
Indians fans are tweeting me, congratulations,
Right.
you know, blah, blah, blah. And in one hand, I'm thinking, how do you give up on your team like that? Because I've never given up on this team ever. Not,
But
when they were awful, they're the worst ever. To me,
it's our team.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I knew also that Cleveland wasn't going to lay down.
Tough
I mean,
team.
these guys, you know, that city went through
They're
the
really
Browns.
good.
They went through, you know, going through all that heartbreak.
Terry Francona is a good manager.
And Terry Francona is as good as anybody in baseball,
Right.
and you knew they were going to make a run at it. So, you know, fifth inning, I'm not thinking anything's locked up. I was hoping around the 7th or 8th I didn't have to have the heart attack that I did.
When it was 6-3,
But
I went, wow, I can't believe
I
we're going
kept
to win
telling
this
him,
easily.
we got this, man. We got this. What's
And
your
I
problem?
yelled at him.
He'd start yelling at me.
Hey, did the LA Kings mascot tweet you at all about the Cubs?
I think he set out a nice congratulations, but this is after the LA series where he was just inundating me with tweets about, you know, all these negative Cub things. Cubs, this and that about how it's been so long since the Cubs won and all that. I think he set out a nice congratulations, but
after the pennant.
I didn't. I haven't heard from any mascots.
No, okay.
Either.
You haven't heard from anyone?
No.
There are a lot of people in your line of work who are Cubs fans, from Garland, Jim Belushi to Bob Newhart. I mean, there's just tons of Cubs
Oh,
fans.
I'm so happy for Bob Newhart.
Yeah, man.
Oh man,
He was flying
Right?
the W.
you know, like he
my
put
dad's
out,
era.
He tweeted a picture of him and Don Rickles holding up a W flag.
It was
and,
really
that
cool.
that just gets me.
It was really cool.
Don
Have you heard
Rickles.
from anybody in Hollywood that went, hey, man, I'm happy for you?
Yeah, both. Yeah, but mostly it's like, you know, we did it.
Yeah.
It's always like, you know,
I'm a fan, too.
You're in a fraternity of Cubs fans.
Right.
And it's
No,
it's
like,
like
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
we did it. We're fans, too.
No,
right?
and we're the people who've sort of suffered the drought. You know, like we bear that. We have the scar, right?
Like you could go to a match.
Joe
to a movie.
Montana, Gary Sinise,
Right.
all the Murrays,
You go do these
Eddie
shows,
Vedder, Chris Chelios.
and there are guys that you could be doing a show with a million different people, but the few Cub fans are like, we got a bond, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
My sister has a 5-6-month-old newborn baby, and she sent me a picture of the baby in a Cubs onesie next to a chalkboard that said, "I've been waiting my whole life for this."
I have a question.
And I kind of got mad. I was like, "Oh, that kid doesn't know." And she tweeted me back, and she said, "Some would say that you don't know."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn it, my younger sister
Witty.
So wise.
Let's not beat up on the young Cubs fans, right? You know, they suffered
in a
with
way,
their families, right? My nephew is here, and last year he had to get the sweep of New York, and so he thought we were going all the way, so he got his little heartbreak. We don't need any more of this. We can go back next year.
We're good.
Right?
In a way, I envy them because they don't know. But I also look at this like this might be a little sweeter for guys like us because we do know.
Let me ask you something. Now that this has happened, are there more Cub fans, or say we get 6 months from now, are there more Cub fans or less Cub fans? I mean, it's been 108 years. You know what I mean?
Well, more.
I kind of understand the question.
There's always going to be bandwagon fans,
right?
You know,
do you think it makes
let's talk about
more
LeBron
Cub fans
James
or
for a second here,
because you talk about the bond, right? I mean,
Yankee fan,
Let's talk about LeBron James here. He's a guy who was criticized because maybe 6 months ago he's at an Indians game and he's wearing a New York Yankees hat proudly. Takes it off his head and he shows everybody. Like I don't know what he's thinking. I would never. I've thrown out a pitch at Citi Field where I've had to wear the Mets uniform. I refuse to wear the hat. Like, I don't know. I was weird about it, and I've done things for other teams where there's pictures out, me wearing a Buffalo Sabres shirt, and like they're classy organizations because you go there, you do a shoot the puck, or you do other stuff, and it comes back to haunt you a little bit,
Correct.
like that picture of me in the Mets jersey throwing out the first pitch at Citi Field came back to haunt me last year in the NLDS.
Hey, remember this?
Yeah,
right.
like, oh, look at you. I thought you were a Cubs fan, and it's like, yeah, okay, but to voluntarily wear a New York Yankees hat while going to an Indians game, to me is kind of crazy. But now all of a sudden LeBron James is all Cleveland against the world. I think he kind of maybe jinxed his team a little bit, because they went so hard in on the, Golden State blew the 3-1 lead, and now the Indians.
Yeah, so
Draymond
Draymond Green tweets literally 2 seconds after the final out. Boy, 3-1 sucks.
You know what, though?
Baseball,
I walked out of I was with everybody. We were down 3-1, and I'm just thinking it's going to have to be this way. And I ran into Big Papi, David Ortiz, and I didn't want to put it out there.
Right, he was there to get an award.
Yeah, and I happened to run into him at Wrigley, and I just thought to myself, that's the omen that they're. And so I was very calm the next 2 games after that.
He talked people off the ledge too.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I mean.
I don't see how this doesn't make more baseball fans.
I don't apply the historical relevance that you all experienced and have like you naturally do because it's born into you to some extent. I look at the greatest team in the National League. I know what other ball players are saying. Other ball players fear this group because this group is so good. The Cardinals, they know how good this team is. The Pirates know how good this team is. Teams in the American League, they know how good this team is. The reality is good teams find ways to win different types of games. And they were not playing good at the beginning, but again, it takes 4 wins to win a series.
And over the 7-game series, you get to see, Cleveland's outfield defense wasn't that great.
Right.
It doesn't show up in a 1 game or 2 game, but then
I knew that as soon
all
as the
of a sudden
Cubs started to apply a little pressure to the Cleveland Indians, that they would take the upper hand and that they would be the team to be feared. Game 6 and 7, we're on our way back to Cleveland. And we're reminding each other that guess what? Kyle Schwarber gets to play the whole game. He's not just a pinch hitter anymore.
We got Lester.
We're better than the Cleveland Indians at their game.
Well, the other thing is we didn't get home field advantage because the AL won the All-Star game. Remember, it's like, that stinks. We have the best
I think
record.
they got to change that one.
And it ended up working out for us.
The All-Star game, right?
But it worked for us.
Well, I think
he deserves it.
I think the baseball playoff system's a little wonky. I think you do 2 and then 3 and then another 2. That seems weird because
the 2-2-1-1-1 is
that team
West Coast travel. You can't
plays who doesn't have the home field advantage could easily win those 3 games, and all they got to do is win 1 at home early. NHL does it different where they do 2-2 and then they go 1-1. 1 if necessary. I'd like to see that change.
Right, but it was a break for us because we got Schwarber 4 times.
Yeah, we didn't have any problems in Cleveland. We won 3 of 4.
Oh, when I was there, game 2, I thought they loved this because I had some nice seats up close. I lucked into those dugout box seats with a friend from Chicago, and they were loose, walking up. I mean, they weren't in their heads and they weren't overthinking anything. They were just playing baseball and.
That's what you want, right?
And I think maybe being away from home and not having, all your family and friends, because I had people calling me 24 hours a day in Chicago, where are we watching the game? What's going on?
Right.
Do you know when you get tickets? Anything like that. Now they're on the road. They just and you could see they seem to really. I think the road teams in this situation were it got to play like the home field.
They did.
I think Schwarber's a calming presence, though. I really do. I mean, I know that just him being back in the lineup, but his personality, he's a bit of a ringleader. I think he makes
at 23.
He makes his teammates calm. He calms his teammates because he's that guy. He's the.
And you know what? He's old school. He gets it.
He looks like Babe Ruth for crying out loud in a uniform.
He's the guy who gets all the old school stuff. He walks out. He'll tip the cap. You know, he doesn't big league anybody, but he's just a.
I mean, even the way he plays the game, right? The way
how many leaders do they have on this team?
They got a lot.
Rizzo, Bryant.
Ross.
I mean, look at Hayward.
Well,
look at
you lead in different ways, but
Sure.
I think when it comes to the biggest stage and those nerves that you naturally would have, you're walking out on stage for the first time, the lights are the brightest, millions of people are watching. Schwarber's the guy that just seems to be like, where's my bat? Give me a bat. Where's home plate? I'm ready to go. Come on, let's go.
It's funny. He's got a child. How old is Trey?
Trey? Trey's 8.
He's 8. And he looks like Kyle Schwarber.
He does.
Big puffy cheeks. So he takes a picture and he puts Schwarber and Trey in a tweet, sends it out. And that day, ironic coincidence, he didn't know who the kid was. As Schwarber comes on the field, he flips the ball in the stands and his kid catches
You're
it.
right to Trey.
Same day.
Magic.
And he had no idea that was Todd's son.
The whole season, magic. I love baseball because, the first part of the year, it's all math. It's all stats, statistics. You could math the hell out of everything. And then once the playoff starts, people are playing to voodoo gods, and they're, you know what I mean? They're not washing their socks, and they're doing like every single superstitious
hit behind
thing
the run.
in the
They
world.
don't care about the numbers.
I had a cooler in Cleveland too. Where I was sitting there, I was talking to somebody. What was it? I think it was it was a Cubs little unit there.
Right.
And then somebody got up, and a woman from Cleveland walked in, sat down. She goes, Cleveland's going to win this game. And she started talking, and then boom, there's a pass ball. There's a hit. I said, look, I'll go take a picture or whatever. But I said, you can't sit here, please.
Now you got to
get so superstitious.
We do.
Yeah,
right.
We do.
Absolutely.
I mean, literally, I'm a grown man.
I was at a Hawks game. I was at a Hawks game one
was out of
time.
my mind.
I had a friend from San Francisco in, and the Hawks were playing the San Jose Sharks. So it's just, we were friendly, just ribbing each other about this and that. Hawks are playing real bad, playing so poorly, not like them at all. One of the guys next to us gets up, goes to get beer, goes to the bathroom or something, I don't know. Hawks score like 2 goals in 2 minutes. He comes back and I go, hey, buddy. I go, we're doing a lot better when you left. I go, you got to get out of here. And I was joking, obviously. He looks at me, he looks at the score, and he goes, oh, all right. And he left. I never saw him again. He didn't come back. Right. I was like,
that's
great.
how we are.
Yeah.
By the way, the players are starting to approach the stage, so we will have the ceremonies and the speeches starting in just a little while. So the parade is pretty much through, and the reception and the fun is getting ready to commence here at Hutchinson Field at Grant Park. Again, he's CM Punk, he's John Cusack, he's Todd Hollingsworth, I'm David Kaplan. We have our great crew from CSN all over the city today, and it's been a lot of fun just to chronicle this thing. You and I got to be there from spring training on. It's been
you guys got
amazing.
the best jobs
What
in
a
the city.
journey.
It's the greatest.
I mean, you realize, and I know that there was some debate around, whether to have the parade today or Monday. And, I was telling these guys, I said, the players, man, they want to have the parade today. You don't realize how tired these guys are.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they are emotionally, mentally, and physically drained. To your point about spring training, remember, it's right around Valentine's Day is when guys start making their way down to spring training. That was in February. This has been nonstop baseball almost every day for them, all the way till November 4th.
Crazy.
A lot of
I think
baseball.
some guys are heading to Vegas, I'm hearing, and they're just going to have a good old time, and they deserve it.
Yes, they do.
You got an MVP for this show coming up? Somebody who's going to pull a quasi Corey Crawford.
Oh yeah, that's good.
You got a guess at who the MVP is going to be?
Lackey.
Okay.
Or I'll go Rizzo.
I could see Bryant or Rizzo.
Bryant is so straight-laced. I don't think he goes there.
Schwarber?
Going Schwarber.
I'm thinking you could get. Let's just be realistic about this. You could get a Travis Wood. The kind of guy who's like,
very good call.
Who's the biggest guy out there? I'll fight him.
Right.
He might. Travis might give us a minute.
Call.
Thank you.
Well, somebody is going to be epic.
Yeah.
That will live on, like Corey Crawford.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope multiple guys are. I mean, this is their moment. I hope they have fun up there.
It depends on how much they've been indulging before they started the parade.
Perhaps some of them might be overserved.
Yes. they might be overserved the last, 48 hours or so.
Are they all 21?
Yeah.
That's true.
It's another good question. You've got Addison Russell at 22.
Barely.
You got some young kids.
Right.
This may not be the first time we're doing this.
Let's hope not.
You know what?
I'm expecting more.
I don't think it'll be such a bad thing if we get to come back next year. Just
That'd be awesome.
I don't think.
Hey, you know what?
I don't think it's such a bad thing.
The word
That would be
dynasty
awesome.
has not existed in baseball in a long, long time. I mean, we're
108 years.
Probably since the
And now we're
Yankees in the
saying
late
dynasty.
90s. They won 3
Well,
straight.
we talk about it all the time over at MLB Network. I mean, the idea is, and baseball loves the fact that a lot of teams are winning. Most sports, generally speaking, they don't want, the same team winning all the time. They like it, different places, different teams. They love that Cleveland and Chicago are in the World Series this year. But there hasn't been a dynasty in about 20 years. It has. I mean, going back to the early, late 90s with the Yankees that, we had a nice little run. This team could do it. Absolutely could do it.
You're a big diehard Hawks fan. I'm a Hawks season ticket holder. When they won in 2010, if they had lost in 2013, yeah, we would have hated it. But you go, I got my championship in my lifetime. Like, I feel like this team will win a lot more, but you had to get number 1. You had to.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah, you get the monkey off your back, and then you go looking for all the gorillas.
Very well put. That's exactly
I think this team is very much like that 2010 Blackhawks team. They're young, they're hungry, and they're not the kind of team that's going to be just happy with winning the one time. They're not going to be like, oh, we won, so that's it.
Jed and Theo and Jason McLeod built this thing to roll for 10
and there's
years.
no salary cap like there is in hockey.
Can you keep them all? And I think that's what, we're going to enjoy debating amongst ourselves for the next handful of years. Salary and players and new contracts. Can you have Addison, Russell, Schwarber, Rizzo, Brian? I mean, can you
I was
keep
sad
the
to
whole
hear
crew together?
that Dexter was going to move on, although I understand. But
Sure,
is that,
right. But I mean,
didn't he say he was
absolutely
moving
right.
on?
He did. He said that yesterday.
I loved
that's
having
a
him.
reality.
He said at least he's going to test free agents.
Right. He wants to test.
I
free
hope we
agents,
get one
see what's
more
out
with him, man. He's been wonderful for the
Oh,
Cubs.
I hope he stays too, but I got a feeling.
Yeah.
We'll be playing him next
He'll
year.
have more than one suitor.
You can
the
understand,
Baltimore Orioles
he
were the
goes,
only
I
suitor.
gave you a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
I want my payday now.
Yeah, his unfinished business is over.
Maybe he can go over to the south side, be a center fielder for the White Sox.
They probably would be very interested in Dexter Fowler. That's the amazing thing.
I know.
I saw Curtis Granderson walking down the street yesterday. He lives here. So
Yeah.
he came in on my radio show, and he said, look, I'm not a Cub, I'm not a White Sox, but if my team can't win, I'm thrilled for our city.
See, that's why
cool.
I like that guy. And last year when the Mets beat the Cubs, I think they asked him. They said, "All right, well, you play for New York, but you're a Chicago guy. Who's got the better pizza?" He said Chicago.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
he did. He said it again yesterday. He goes, "Give me the deep dish. That thin stuff's nothing."
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows where his home is.
Yeah, I love him.
We'll see. The only thing that's sad about this is there isn't another game to watch. Like, I so look forward every day. Hey, who we playing today?
They're just taking a break, man. They're going to be back, and it's
We
going
got
to be
hockey.
the same unit.
And it's always been this way for me. In October, because I've never had October baseball, it was always, well, we got the Hawks now.
Right.
So it immediately
they're playing
switch
well.
over. So now, we had the Hawks and we had the Cubs. So, yeah, it's a bum out we don't have any more baseball, especially the awesome postseason stuff we had this year. But, I watched the Hawks, crush the Avalanche.
Spring training is right around the corner.
But it's
guys.
also a brave new world. I mean, we've never had. They haven't even gotten here yet, man.
Right.
We get to party all weekend.
We
get
do.
to relive.
We do.
It's going to be.
You got a couple
they're going
big
to replay all
holidays.
these
You'll
games.
be good. You'll be all right.
I went over to Clark Street Sports on Lawrence last night. So I'm going to get my kids hats. And I pull up, and the line, not quite this big, but they're down the street. I'm like, what's wrong with this picture? It's November, and people are buying Cubs gear.
Or we can just always go to Murphy's, and I'm sure they'll be playing every video that we want to see, every highlight.
It will be amazing. I would think Wrigleyville will be hopping this weekend.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of visitors in our town right now.
I saw Theo with the bear hat on yesterday drinking champagne through it, and I went, okay, our boss is on a bender.
Yeah.
No question. In fact, he said to us on the postgame, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. He's like, hey, see you back in Chicago,
taking
baby.
over.
Jed's taking over. Jed's in
going on a
charge.
bender.
I'm going on a bender. Well, guess what?
How many people showed up in front of Wrigley that night after the win?
Oh, God.
I mean,
Insanity.
Yeah. I saw, because I only saw pictures from Cleveland.
Here's Jake Arrieta. Take a listen.
All right.
Well, I mean, with as little energies I had this morning from last night, I mean, the adrenaline started flowing as soon as we got on those buses. Driving around Wrigley, getting downtown, I mean, the amount of people here is just, it's mind-boggling, and the support's awesome. these people have been ready for something like this for a long time, and we're just ecstatic to even be a part of it.
And the weather, I mean, you could go out and play another game today.
I mean, I'd like to play golf maybe later, try and get 9 in, yeah, but it's crazy to really come to the, understanding the season's over, but rest up for a few months and get back up in February.
All right, enjoy your short off season.
Thanks, Len. Rest up for a few months and get back up.
All right, welcome back in here. Thank you, Jake. So maybe you'll get a quick 9 holes in. We could play golf today. So I was telling you, I think I told CM, I don't think I told you. So I was a vendor at both ballparks, my brother and I. And then in 85, the Cubs.
Old style?
Old style, exactly right. And I'm selling beer and making good money. And I decided to make up T-shirts with my brother. It's 85. The Cubs had gagged in San Diego in 84. 85, they're in first place. People forget. It's early June. They're in first. They're rolling. And I make up these T-shirts that have a baseball with a bite taken out of it. It says, "So close we could taste it." 1985 Chicago Cubs. Didn't even use their logo. Dallas Green was the president of the team at the time. He sees the T-shirt, sees me as a vendor, and he goes, "You're fired." And I'm fired as a vendor by the Cubs. Almost 10 years later, I'm hosting their pregame show. Do you have any idea how bizarre and ironic that was for me?
Well, he wasn't still around then.
He was gone when I started. He got fired in like 87.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was a special kind of hangover, that old style.
yeah, it was a special kind of hangover. Here's Len Casper and Rhino.
What a beautiful day.
Over and beyond. A beautiful day. Great to see the crowd come out. This is for the fans that have been supporting our Cub team for all these years. Unbelievable.
What a month. You think about the Giant series, which felt like a year ago. Didn't want to get to Game 5, the big 9th inning. Dodgers series down 2-1, and then the bats exploded. Really, this want to get to Game 5, the big 9th inning. Cubs got down 3-1.
Well, pretty incredible ride. Yeah, this team had its back against the wall. Favored coming in, but they came through when they had to. And they did it by sticking together in their character, and they enjoy playing the game of baseball. They have fun. I think that was the biggest thing. They're able to stay loose in those moments and have bounce-back games, which it took for them to get to this point. A lot of fun to watch.
It's come full circle for you. It's got to be a real fun time.
This, for me, I mean, is the last feather in the cap. I mean, I was just talking to someone, 3 things off of my bucket list. Cubs to a World Series, Cubs win a World Series, and then a parade down Michigan Avenue. All in a week's time. You can't beat that.
Pretty great stuff. Rhino, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All in a week's time.
Yeah, because he's got a
All right, welcome back in here to Hutchinson Field at Grant Park. Players are backstage, and as soon as they have everybody in place, and the mayor and everyone else, we'll have that for you as they bring them out on the set. So Tom Cooper, our great producer at CSN, just texted me. This is from Bailey, the LA Kings mascot. He tweeted, "Congrats to @Clark the Cub and @Cubs fans all over the world. Yes, even you @CM Punk."
Well,
What's going on with you and that mascot?
Well, he's a bum, pretty
I got
much.
you. Yeah.
He's
I never
bum.
liked him.
I know. It's hard to like somebody who supports a subpar hockey team like the LA Kings. But it's nice that he at least has the sportsmanship to tweet that out. I appreciate that. That's nice.
Pretty good. All right, here's Len with Albert Almora.
How does this feel? How was the parade for you?
Oh my God, man! To be able to share it with my teammates and my family, my close family, was something I'm never gonna forget that. And I just tried to, as soon as every fan that I saw, I just tried to pump my heart and say, "This is for you guys, and it was for the city of Chicago. They deserve it."
How about this year for you?
It's gonna be hard to top this one. And I know we got 2 months left in the year, but I don't know if it could get much better than this. From the birth of my son to getting married, to my father beating cancer, and then now to top it off to win a World Series my first year in the big leagues. It's been unbelievable. I can't begin to imagine.
Well, and you realize that play, tagging from first base, is going to go down in Cubs lore as one of the greatest plays of all time.
Wow. I've heard after that happened. But in that moment, I didn't think of that. I was just thinking of getting to second base for my teammates, for Rizzo. I was coming up behind him. And then it's funny, when they were intentionally walking Rizzo, I said, I don't think that's a good idea. We got one of our best hitters coming up behind him. And man. I'm just so happy we're here right now. We're sharing this moment with all the city of Chicago.
Congratulations. Enjoy.
No, thank you, man. You've been amazing. We're sharing this moment with all the city of Chicago.
Congratulations.
There you go, Albert Almora, who had that big tag up, got the second, able to score the go-ahead run in the 10th inning on a pretty dramatic play. They are almost ready on the stage, seeing people milling around up there. We're being told we are not far away from the ceremony starting, and it's going to be epic. It's going to be awesome. The parade, as you watched here on CSN, also outstanding. And I would think that people are going to go from here. John, I was just saying to you, I think I might go out later. Don't have to work the rest of the day, which is rare. I think there will be people all over this city partying up a storm.
Yeah, they will. Stanley's will be packed. All the bars will be packed.
Bars, restaurants.
I think this is going to be a big day for tattoo shops in Chicago.
You know, you're right. I hadn't thought about that.
No, absolutely.
What do you get?
I got friends who work at shops that have already made a ton of flash. It's just going to be sitting up there. You're going to be able to walk in and go, give me that one.
Give me that Cubs tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me that.
When are you getting yours?
I don't know. I'd like to think today, but I don't know yet. It's one of those things that I've been thinking my entire life. Like, people would always say, how come you don't have a Cubs tattoo? I say, because I'm waiting. I'm waiting for them to win. When they win, I'm going to get one. And I am done waiting now. So we'll see what I get.
All right, here's Len with Kyle Hendricks.
Still feels surreal, honestly. We've only been on the team for a couple of years. We're just looking out at some of these people, man. It's generations among generations been waiting for this. So you can see the joy in their faces. Way more people are here than I could ever imagine, too. So this is just awesome to see, and we're just taking it in, enjoying every second of it, really.
When I think of your season, it's like, where do we start? Do we start with the regular season winning the ERA title? Do we start with all the great postseason starts? How about having the ball to start Game 7?
Yeah, that was I tried to go into it like any other game. Obviously, the nerves and anxiety were a little extra beforehand, but once the game started, Dex got to start off great with that homer. When you have a lead in a game like that, it's always huge. So I was just out there making pitches while I was out there. You had Lester coming in after me. That was huge on his side day. Just everybody giving everything they had, really, even when we got tied the game up there. Never gave up. Guys kept grinding out at-bats. What we've been doing all year long. It really, that's what makes it everything, is enjoying it with these guys.
So you take it day-to-day as a player, and guys say, you kind of internalize what happened either after a season or after a career. It's only 2 days after the World Series, but is it starting to sink in what you accomplished this year?
It is a little bit now, I think. It took a while, but now seeing all these people, seeing everything going on, this is just wild, man. So it's starting to make it feel right at home, starting to make it feel right. We want to do it again and again, obviously, but hopefully fans can just enjoy this for a long time.
So fun watching you do your thing. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Fans can just
Thanks,
enjoy
Bob.
this for a long time.
That was my take.
All right, there was Kyle Hendricks. We talked about him being the 5th starter at the start of the year. I fully believe if Joe had left him in Game 7 and not gone to Lester when he did, he would have gotten Kipnis. He was in a bit of a groove, and he might have pitched 7 strong innings.
Well, he's proven this year, I think by evidence of his stellar ERA, that when he gets into a rhythm, nobody in baseball has really proven that they can get him out of that rhythm, and that's really what it comes down to for me. I watch him, maybe sometimes fatigue sets in. That's an X factor, for any starting pitcher. But when you look at him get the 2-seamer down in the zone and the 4-seamer up and then the changeup working in between, I've watched a lot of lineups. I know baseball pretty well. I watch it every day. Nobody seems to be able to consistently make the right kind of adjustments against him and really has figured him out. The comparisons are legitimate. I remember Tomatix at the beginning, because people would be, they would compare him to Doggy Tomatix, the great Hall of Famer, 300-game winner. And it didn't feel like it was right because Maddox was a Hall of Famer. But I think everybody gets it now. They look at him and say, yeah, I see what you're talking about when you compare him to Greg Maddux. It's the same type of stuff.
Yeah, he'll come in and if things get out of control for a minute or two, he'll slow things down. And then he's got that changeup where his guys are late on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. So he's a complete pitcher. There's no doubt about it.
I don't think there's a fan in all of baseball that was watching that game that agreed with, putting Lester in when they did. I thought Hendricks could get at least one more inning. Then you put Lester in to bridge the gap between Hendricks and Chapman. But it all worked out, but it was some nail-biting innings there.
All right, let's go back. Len's got Jason Hayward.
Congratulations. Are you able to put into perspective what happened the other night just yet, or is it still sinking in?
There's a lot of sinking in to do, but you know, right now today in Chicago, what a time for Chicago, the city. What a time for history. You know, we knew that was something as a team we couldn't control, but checking that off of everybody's list for a number of people, generations, years, and you know, people to come, unbelievable. So I'm just really proud of these guys that I fought with, really proud of the city, and really proud of the fan base, and go Cubbies.
It's really hard to win a World Series, isn't it? People have no idea. Now we know.
Yeah, you have no idea how hard it is until you get one done. Can't put it into words. That's how hard it is. But you know, what a ride! It's a lot of fun, very humbling experience. All that excitement, all the hard work you put in, all the fans, Cub fans on the road, at home, all that dedication finally paid off, and there's no better way to do it than in Chicago.
You've been a great teammate, and you've only been here a year. What made you want to say whatever you did say to your teammates during the very short rain delay?
I felt their pain in the moments, and I just wanted them to understand that I know that they can't control everything. None of us can control everything, and I just wanted them to understand that they are the best in the world, because for 103 games, they control what they can't control. And that was in the regular season, obviously. I know we need to win 114 games to go win a World Series, and I just wanted to remind them how good they are. I told them I love them. I told them there's nothing they can control about what we've done to this point. At this point, you know, the game's already taken place. Here it is. We're tied now. Let's go out there and be ourselves, have fun, and win or lose. Let's go out that way and leave it on the field, and you guys are the best team in baseball. That was it.
Congratulations. Enjoy the day, all right?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Will do. And you guys are the best team in baseball. That was it.
121.
All right, welcome back here. Again, we're getting close, and as soon as we see the players out there, you'll see them on your TV screen. Len is going to have Theo Epstein in just a moment. They're estimating the crowd between the parade, the Wrigley site, and here could approach north of 3 million people. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I mean, you just look at that sea of blue. Here's Len now with Theo Epstein.
How does this parade stack up?
Well, it exceeded my wildest expectations by about tenfold, and you know, it was way bigger than Boston. That was the only point of reference I had. So Boston was great. I think equal amounts of passion, but just the size of the city, this was overwhelming. And I told my wife we have to go home and change some diapers and do some laundry just to get our feet back on the ground and back to reality, because our fans were amazing. Thank you.
It's generational, and that's what's really special about it, right?
Yeah, that was it was such an emotional month, because we know how long our fans have waited, how supportive, patient, how much love they sent us over 108 years. And when you drive around downtown, you see the W's, you see fans sharing it with their parents or grandparents, mentioning relatives who are no longer here. Our players just wanted so badly to bring it home for our fans. I think that's what you saw in those big moments, including in the 10th inning a couple nights ago. Human beings can accomplish more for others and for the group than they can for themselves. And I really think that's what was on display this month.
You're a student of history, you're a student of the game. Becoming a member of this organization, you've been here 5 years. It's different here, right? And you have to be a part of it to really get it.
Yeah, it's the most personal, intimate organization I think there is. The connection between the fans and the players, the organization and the city. Everyone who puts on Cubby Blue, anyone who's ever put on the uniform, anyone who's ever cheered for the club has the same heartbeat, and that's what made it so special the other night.
Enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Number 3. Full house time, baby. I don't want no stinking cycle. Called strike 3. Cubs win.
I don't know if Wood's going to have a play on this one. It is caught. He races back to the ivy and made the catch. He gets the bunt down. Runner coming home. Cubs win. Lester gets a bunt down.
Here's the pitch. Cubs win. Cubs win. Miguel Montero. 4-3 Cubs win as John Lester completes a gem.
Pitch on the way to Polanco, driven to shallow left. Coming in, Caesar on the run, going out, Russell. A fabulous diving catch. And it's a Russell caught by Russell. Oh, my goodness.
He may have just saved 3 runs.
There's a little liner, shallow center field, going out, Crawford. Jason Hayward drives in the game winner.
The Major League ERA leader.
High fives for Kyle Hendricks all around.
A standing ovation.
Chicago Cubs baseball is on the air from famous Wrigley Field in Chicago. It's the Chicago Cubs against the San Francisco Giants.
Time to play ball!
Go! Cubs, go!
One moment. Did you capture it? Just let it slip. Yo. His palms are sweaty. His weak arms are heavy. His arms are ready. Mom's forgetting he's nervous. There goes your hand. He keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He's choking that.
Quick pitch. And Baez sends it deep to left. Pagan is there at the wall and he's in the basket.
Javier Baez with a home run to left.
He won't have it, he knows. His whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope.
Tonight it's game 2. Right-handers Kyle Hendrick and Jeff Samardzija will hook up.
Back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture.
A little looper into shallow center field. That's a base hit. 1 run is in. Baez trying to score. The throw the plate. Not in time. Cubs lead 3-0. Wood batting for the first time. He drives one in the air. It's got a chance. Gone. Travis Wood with a home run to left. Cubs lead 5-2. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Cubs win. Chapman strikes out Tomlinson. Cubs take a 2-0 lead over the Giants.
Normal life is boring, but superstardom's close to